those all your medals?
Yeah, like that, like they're called coins. That's weird. Hello and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. I'm a retired U.S. Army officer and CEO founder of Cavness HR. At Cavness HR, we provide HR to companies with 4,900 fewer people by combining a tech platform with an HR business partner. The Jason Cavness Experience is brought to you by Breeze Docs. By using Breeze Docs, you can locate and propose answers to all proposal questions and offer edited and polished versions of previously approved answers. Users have the choice to accept an offered response, edit it, or write something completely different. Breeze Docs also supports collaboration on the completion of these documents with everyone in your organization. To receive your free upgrade for watching the Jason Cavness Experience, go to the QR code on the screen. Cavness HR is hosting Cavness HR Seattle's Got Tech. We're going to have 10 tech startups doing a demo of what they're building. No pitching, no pitch decks, no pitching. Actual startups who have built something who are going to start what they built. Think of it as a tech trade show. To sign up, go to the QR code on the screen. Our guest today is Bianca. Bianca, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So, I always try to start with a softball question. At least, hopefully, it's a softball question. So, we're going to talk about all the great stuff you're doing in a minute. But how do you take care of yourself, have fun, hobbies, those kind of things?
Ooh, man, that is something I have to remind myself at least once a week, if not once a day. When you have such a life that is going fast paced, if you're not reminding yourself, or there is something at the back of your head where you're just feeling a little overwhelmed, you have to take a step back and be like, okay, am I at the point where I can be 100%? So constantly reminding myself.
And how do you remind yourself?
Honestly, it's an overwhelming feeling, and so if it's in the morning, it's maybe taking a step back, going on a walk. I've been going on a lot of walks lately. Sometimes it's more in the evening, take some time to myself, finish work early, have a nice bath, maybe drink some wine. Maybe it's just stepping back from work and everything in general. We have 2 dogs at home, and sometimes it's just, hey, let's play around, throw some ball. They love attention, they love cuddles. They're a good reminder of trying to balance work. Working from home right now, they're a good reminder constantly.
So what kind of dogs y'all have?
We have a mini poodle and a mini poodle schnauzer.
And how long y'all had them?
They are both 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were COVID babies. So, socializing them was a little bit hard when we got them. And so they still have moments of occasional anxiety, so to speak.
And you've been like a dog person your whole life? Like since you were a little kid?
Honestly, I think we've only really had dogs. Occasionally we had my grandma would have a bird, or my brother would want to bring a snake home. The occasional fish, but dogs has kind of been the go-to fallback, and I don't know if it's just because of the way they interact with us humans.
Yeah, definitely. And are you a big wine person?
I do like wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any favorites or any brands or countries or?
Ooh, I am a Pinot Grigio fan.
Okay.
So especially in the summer where you need something a little bit more cold. We eat a lot of fish too, so having it with a fish dish is good. But you can't always get Pinot Grigio everywhere, I've found. So. And
do you have a favorite place here in the Seattle area? You go to either a restaurant or maybe somewhere in Woodinville?
For wine?
Yeah.
No, I haven't actually gone to a lot of wine locations.
So you're not a wine snob, so to speak.
I'm not a snob,
okay.
No, but I can tell if it is a little bit more made on the cheap
so
side.
No wine snob, but no Boomberry's Farm either, right?
Exactly, yeah. But I don't like to go straight for the expensive bottles either, right? I've heard, and I think it's just from more conversations with people who are snobs or have been around it a lot longer than I have. They're like, yeah, you don't need the $70 bottle, and I agree.
Yeah, when I was in the Army, we were in Italy 2.5 years. So I really got a wine over there, but there is a difference, right, in the quality and stuff. But yeah, it's but I'm not into I used to be. But you can tell the difference. But there's really no need to go $70 wine. Example, Costco, the cooking wine there is high quality, right?
Easy.
But
yeah.
most like I'm drinking Kirkland wine. That's like off brand, generic, but it's actually like some of the best wine around.
I like it, and I think some of the countries do a lot better than others,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like Spain has a really good variety. I think one of the wine locations I went to was actually over in Chile, and they're
Yeah.
they have really good wine.
So my last guest for you was a lady from Chile, right? And she talked about how fantastic the wine was. Yeah, I mean, I always ever had Chilean wine, but I always like Argentina, New Zealand, France. I don't know. France seems like kind of overhyped, Like I don't know about France.
I think France is like a hit or miss.
Yeah,
You have to go, I think, for the sparkly, the bubbly.
yeah. And of course, everyone goes to Napa Valley, but that might be overpriced too. I've been there a couple of times with my niece and stuff. It's a nice environment.
They
I
have
don't
a
know.
big vineyard, don't they?
Oh, they have lots. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, much stuff they have.
That's crazy. I do like visiting
Mhm.
the wineries
Yeah.
though, because it just shows you where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
The amount of effort that people put into
Yeah,
it.
it's
It's a lot of caring.
It's not an overnight thing, right? It's almost like a start of like a 10-year plan.
No. Have you had ice wine from here over in on the Columbia Valley side?
No, I don't think I had. No, I haven't.
Oh, ice wine is pretty good. It's a sweet. It's a dessert.
Okay. Okay.
So if you go for it, you only want to have so much, and you want to have it as like
Yeah.
an after.
Okay, yeah. I think everyone starts drinking like sweet wine, and then they go like yeah. I can't stand sweet wine now, but I'm a big Merlot fan.
Okay.
Yeah, like in Italy, we were like a 5-minute drive from three wineries, right? It's
Yeah.
insane. Like the whole experience of wine, the cheese, all that kind of stuff is very nice. Yeah,
Cheese. That's a whole nother topic.
definitely. And so you say you do a lot of walking.
I do.
Is
I
it
am
walking or hiking?
Walking.
Walking,
right
okay.
now. Yeah, I haven't gotten into the let's go out into the mountains, which
Yeah.
I want to because
Yeah.
we have such a beautiful area over here. But I haven't gotten out into the woods for a while.
So to off the subject, right? Sometimes this random stuff pops in my mind. I remember this one guy a while ago. He posted somewhere like, "I don't understand dating in Seattle with the Seattle females." The first date, I asked the lady, "Hey, do you want to meet this private?" "Oh no, I don't know you. We're gonna meet somebody in public." So we go somewhere public. Next day, she says, "Let's go hiking by ourselves, 10 miles away from anywhere." Right? You're like,
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna get me.
yeah, yeah, it's just insane. So, what makes you so driven?
I think I just have high expectations of myself, and I don't know where that came from. I think having siblings helps. I have an older sister, and she's always been gunning for top game, trying to be number one, and I think she's 2.5 years older than me, and having that inspiration to being something, anything, was like motivational for me to be, really work on my grades, work on myself, kind of give 100%. So I don't know, almost I feel like part of it is intuitive and surrounding myself with people who also want to be good, and have those expectations of themselves. And so it kind of just pushes me forward. And I think being around the right people help as well. As soon as you're around people who maybe have lower expectations of themselves, or the people that they bring around themselves, it lowers standards naturally. And so to have a drive, you want people to challenge you and push you. And I think continually trying to find those people around me has helped push me to another level.
So, two questions. First one is like, this is something I struggle with early in life, right? Like having high standards. Look, people around you, and you should have high standards for yourself and people around you, right? But how do you deal with like when people around you don't meet your standards, or the standards are too low, right? I used to like get so pissed off, like, man, like what the fuck are you doing, right? Like,
That's a hard,
yeah, like how do you deal with that?
People are the hardest part, and I think over the last probably decade, I've continued to learn that. Whether it's because I'm thinking one way and they're thinking a different way, they're just the hardest part, because I think I'm explaining my husband Spencer. He explains it as I have Bianca language. And so sometimes he has to interpret for me, because what I'm saying makes sense to me, and how it is in my mind, it makes sense. But if I'm trying to be clear with somebody else, they might not be understanding that same thing.
Are you ever like this? I do this sometimes. I'm like, I'm gonna explain this to you. I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the world. If I understand, if I get it, why in the world can you not get it right?
Yeah,
Like, what's
How
going
do I
on here?
have to communicate
Yeah,
in a
like,
way
what's
for
going
it
on?
to make sense
Yeah, that's what's
to
going
you,
on here.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, it's funny because when you do find the good people, I think there is a way for you to find a way to work with them, right? Like we built a really cool team over at Good Planet Foods, and a lot of those people, they have really good work ethic, they have really good standards, and if there's a way that I can find to work with them again, I would, because we already have built that relationship and that trust, and I think that's another aspect to these relationships, right? Trust. If I can't trust you to do something or to hit a certain standard, then we're not in sync. And how do we approach that and have a conversation around it versus just cutting somebody off and being very passive?
So there's a term out there, I think it's called iron sharpens iron, right? Which is good if both people are made of iron, right? But if like you're made of iron, like suppose I work for you,
Yeah.
you're made of iron, but I'm made of freaking aluminum foil, right? Like, I mean, how does that work, right? Because that's going to destroy me and shut me off. Like, how do you deal with that?
I think, honestly, it almost goes all the way back to training, right? So I worked a lot in doing interviews with people, and you've probably touched this too, being in the HR side of things, right? Talent acquisition. How do you find a good fit for someone? And having those conversations of, okay, is culture really important? Is pay really important? Is having a boss that understands you and what motivates you important? And having those early conversations, I think, is really important because you have to get on the same page. And there were a few times where I did talent conversations and interviews, and there were times where I had actually culture fit interviews. And it was like, I knew what the culture was like here. Now, how do I know this person will fit in really well, right? And I have to come up with questions of like, do you like to, if you were at work and, we were going to do a party, would you be okay with that party, right? Trying to figure out what is that culture. And I think when you start to have those conversations and break those barriers down, you start to figure that out. Are you iron? Are you foil? Are you steel? What are you made out of, and what's going to keep you going? Like you said at the beginning, right? What's that driving aspect for you?
And so next, define operational excellence.
Ooh, do I have a minimum like word or sentence
No,
on this?
no. Talk forever you want to.
Ooh, operational excellence. If I were to define operational excellence, I think it would revolve around how easily can you put a new piece to the machine and have it run seamlessly. Like, in basic terms, that's how I would put it. To break it down, I would dive in much deeper, right? What is that piece we're adding? Are we adding it at the beginning of the machine, the middle of the machine, towards the end of the machine? And the reason I say machine is because I do find, and a lot of the books that I'm reading describe certain ways that we function as a machine, right? A business can be a machine. A game can be in a machine. And there are ways that you have to jump in to make that final product, that final good. And whether that is winning a game, whether that's actually a product that comes out of it, or growth, I think a machine is a really good way to define that. And I think it's also easy to define operations as a machine itself. And so I think just being able to throw a piece in that big puzzle and having it work seamlessly is where you get excellence.
So when you're looking at companies, and we're talking about the M&A process later, how you take over companies or acquire them, how do you tell how you judge the company's organizational leadership?
There's actually quite a few ways to do that. And sometimes you can't always do it in one or two conversations or meetings. Like what Spencer and I like to do at Prospera, we actually like to go visit. So if it's not a local business, right, how can we meet this person, the owner or owners in person? How can we see, if they do have a physical location, an office, a plant of sorts, how do we come see it really in function? And so in doing that, we can kind of see what these drivers are, right? If it is a management team in place, we can see how they communicate together. Maybe a problem popped up during the visit. Are they addressing it right then and there? Or are they saying, hey, this popped up, let's circle back on it once we've, done doing the tour with Spencer and Bianca. And I think when you're there, it makes it, you can either see barriers pop up, or you'll see certain, I want to give an example actually. So we went and did an on-site visit not too long ago, and we got to meet with the owner, their COO, and their I guess you would call them like their acting CFO accountant. And they'd always been transparent. And they were very transparent when we were there with them. They had a conversation about the next visit that was coming on site. They had a customer coming to their location, and it was just really nice to be like, oh, you know, they haven't just been transparent over email or text or some of our visual, you know, Zoom calls. They're doing it right here in front of us. Like, we can understand the language and how they work together. And so knowing that a value for us is transparency, and that they have kind of that same value, was really rewarding for us to be like, you know, we had a theory, it was proved out, and we can continue to have these conversations knowing that they value transparency as well.
And you also talk to employees. You know, a lot of times employees have a very different perspective on the business than the people in charge.
Yeah, it kind of depends where we're at in the process. So if it's still very early on, unless they're an employee that does a lot with them, or an employee that is responsible for certain things, we will talk to them and kind of get a feel for it. Like, hey, what do you think? Or what are you looking forward to seeing happen with the business? You know, pros and cons and everything like that. And usually the owners have been pretty open to them having that conversation, which is, again, another value of them being transparent with us. But it really just depends. Once we go really deep into it, so full on due diligence phase, that's where it gets interesting, because you do want to understand, you know, that they're not just showing face, and that we can get to, you know, the truth. How do you feel working here? Do you see yourself doing a different position? You know, are you happy in this role? You know, are you feeling like you want to do more? Or are you doing too much? And really start digging into it. But that's definitely later.
So how do you deal with this? And maybe this hasn't come in yet, but suppose you're about to acquire a company, and the CEO owner lets out, hey, I'm making all these numbers up. Suppose you acquire a company, we'll say, for $10 million. And the person in charge, the CEO, says, you know, for this $10 million, you've taken over tomorrow, I'm firing all my employees the day before and giving them nothing, right? Like, basically fuck them over, right? Are you like, okay, I'm not doing this deal because I can't deal with a person like this? Or you're like, this is between this CEO and the employees, I'm out of it until I take it over?
Yes, so that's why we have a legal team. Because as we're drafting some of the documents, specifically at the very end, it would be a purchase and sale agreement. We're trying to make sure that certain clauses or reps and warranties are in place to say, you know, if something changed immediately, like if we started tomorrow and none of the employees showed up, that there would be something that says there's an action to take because of this, right? Now, what that action is can vary on a huge scale. But it would depend on what did we agree to during the negotiations. So it would be very different depending on the situation, and it would be unfortunate if someone had a situation for us to deal with, because that wouldn't be fun.
So during due diligence, what's been like the craziest thing you found, like almost an illegal thing? Has there been like a situation you do due diligence, you found out, man, this company's selling drugs on the side, or they're money laundering, you know, there's something off the wall and it's saying, right?
You know, it's funny that you say that, because there was an aviation company we were looking at, and we had questions from people that we knew where they're like, could you smuggle with those planes? And I mean, we're looking at it and looking at the plane, and we're like, I mean, you could, it'd fit, it'd be just fine. But we didn't find anything specific to that. Okay. But there have been, I wouldn't say it was like lying or, you know,
maybe like bad financials they weren't transparent about.
Stuff they may have missed themselves to bring up, and it was like, oh yeah, we didn't tell you, and it was like, what do you mean you got sued for X amount, you know, and it was just, oh, you know, off the shoulder, and we're like, okay, well,
that's not that's not a big deal.
Probably send us some kind of like, do you have a report? Is it final? You know, what came of it? And so it is interesting when you get to something bigger like that. And some of the deals that we're looking at, they are a little bit bigger, so there is more to dig through. There is, you know, issues that can pop up, and I guess it's all about having the right people to really find those little things.
Yeah, like I said, some people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, no, that's a big fucking deal. Like,
it's still worth the amount I gave you. You should still pay $10 million for the business.
I know. And what's your process for making sure everyone collaborates?
I love the style of just project management. I almost went into specifically project management myself. So for me, a lot of it is like having touch bases, right? Putting something on the calendar, saying once a week we're gonna, whether there's an update or not, we're touching base. Where are we? Who's in charge of what? And when do we have due dates, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, if you're not tied to something and someone's not responsible, it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then you never get a response, or hey, did you see it? So having some kind of system for project management, whether it's a software, a person, their Excel sheets, Monday.com, there's so many out there now. Having something to actually show face for what does this process going to look like. I can keep going down that rabbit hole.
So you and your husband, you're like kind of co-partners in this business, correct?
Yes.
And were you like in business before you got married, after you got married?
We were in business before, which is a fun conversation because everyone's always like, it's one or the other. I can never work with my partner. And then the other is, oh, I could totally, we would kick ass doing this. And so it is one or the other. For us, we did work together while we were dating. And then obviously we were still together through COVID, still working on the business, and then we decided we wanted to stay together.
And y'all never were like, man, I see you 24/7. Like, I don't want to see your face right now. Like, you need to go somewhere. I got to go somewhere.
We haven't had the direct conversation, but I'm sure, I'm someone who, if I need space, or if my head hurts, I will be like, hey, I need to go take a nap. And I'll go do that, right? Or he will be like, I need to go work it out at the gym, and he'll go do that. But I don't think it's ever done in an evil way of sorts.
And hopefully this will never happen, but you ever had a situation like you and your husband going to meet somewhere, and you obviously tell the guy on the other side of I'm only dealing with Spencer, right? Like, I understand Bianca's your partner, but I'm dealing with Spencer, right?
Have we had a situation?
Yeah.
I don't know if we haven't had the specific situation where someone was very straightforward like that, but sometimes it is obvious if someone is geared to talking more to him or talking more to me, and then we get together and it's like, okay, I'm going to be the primary contact, right? Or he's going to be the primary contact. But we haven't had someone be very sharp about it, which is nice, but it does make it a little bit harder if Spencer's like my visionary guy. He can take us and say, hey, we're going to go here in the next year, right? And I get into the fine details, and that works really well. But when we're starting to build a relationship and we need to get into those details, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get past that hump of I've been working with Spencer. I should have, I can tell Spencer those details, but it's like, I'm going to need to join that call so that I can actually put it into practice. So it's an interesting dynamic.
And how about vice versa, where a female business owner, I'm not dealing with Spencer, I'm only dealing with Bianca?
I haven't had that yet either.
Okay.
Yeah. If anything, again, I just take the primary contact and we work together, and sometimes we're able to just vibe better from a woman perspective. But we haven't had any blunt instances where...
And the company name, does it represent anything, or is this a random name?
Prospera Ventures. It kind of does represent. So while we were going literally down the rabbit hole of what do we want to do next and what do we want that to represent in us, is the idea of us prospering, us empowering, us growing. We also wanted to tie it a little bit to my Hispanic heritage, and so I was like, well, how can I tie these growth words in some kind of Mexican format or Hispanic using the Spanish language? So obviously we use ChatGPT for help.
How was business ever done before ChatGPT?
Oh my gosh. It makes you wonder, right? Now we get to use our brain cells for other stuff. But we just dove down that, and eventually we found a really good one, Prospera. And then it was like, okay, Prospera Partners, Prospera this. And I don't know if we just got tied to ventures or if it was from our startup experience, being VC backed. But we just thought that was a good collaborated name. And then in terms of the logo, I really wanted it to signify that growth piece, and so I did a bunch of research on and actually I think I have it on my arm too, tattoo wise, the firefly and the lotus, right? Because lotus grow when it's in muddy waters, and I felt like at the time when we were starting to create this, there was some muddy waters, and it kind of just naturally fell into place of like, we're in muddy waters and we want to grow past this, and we're also going to be working with owners that might be in muddy waters, right? They might be dealing with a situation where they need to sell their business tomorrow. How do they get out of that? How can we help them get out of that? And so it just kind of naturally synced of like, hey, we're, here's our lotus, here's Prospera Ventures, and we want everyone to grow with us in some kind of nice way. Oops.
So what's your take on this, right? Talking about ChatGPT, and this is something I totally disagree with, right? So I guess a study is showing that, of course, you can have one study show one thing, another study, next day show something else. This study supposedly shows that since everyone's so reliant on ChatGPT, we're not using our brain to think anymore, right? We're so reliant on ChatGPT. Well, my argument, no, it's just a tool, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I think there are two ways to look at it. You can try and solely rely on the internet, Google, ChatGPT, Maps, right? And you can do it in a way that keeps you from learning, right? But then there's a way where you can really use it to push you forward 10 times faster. For me, I almost forget that it's there because I haven't really integrated it on my day-to-day aspect, like to the fullest. But I have been playing with it more. And I think it's really about what are you trying to get out of it, right? If I want it to prompt me to think deeper and to challenge me, works amazing, right? But if I just wanted to solve a problem that I can probably, take a few minutes to really think through, then why am I using it, right? If I needed to write an email, like write an email. Okay, well here's my email. How can I make it better, right? And then really like challenge me to be better in a different way. And I say email because I do use it for email because I feel like, again, I'm trying to explain something and I want someone to really clearly understand what I'm trying to say. So I don't know. That's a give and take. I do think there are ways to use it where it's productive.
Like me, like I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I think on the worst waste of time when people on LinkedIn put down, like you see in the comment section on LinkedIn, oh, don't use AI, the M-dash, we can tell you're not doing anything. Like, to me, it's a complete waste. Like, wait, you're wasting your time telling other people not to use AI?
Can I tell you?
I don't get it.
I saw something, I wish I knew. I don't know if it was someone that I'm connected to on LinkedIn or if it was a suggested post, but I saw something that said by 2050 that people are going to have almost AI personas, right? Yeah. Because people are they're trying to create a character, right, in AI to understand themselves, right? I am this. I'm a business owner, right? I want to make this much amount next year. This is who I am in my life. These are decisions that I've made, right? Now, I'm going to bring you a situation and I need you to help me think through it, right? You almost have the second persona, and this post said that by 2050, people are going to have multiple like avatars or personas that actually the job that people are going to want, the younger generation right now, is going to be like an AI persona therapist of sorts. And I was like, hold on, what? What? You mean I'm going to get confused with who is the real me and who did I develop in this bot?
I mean, think about it. It's kind of happened already because, like, if you're a kid, right, you have a persona on Instagram, on a TikTok, because you do different things. Yeah, like a different, And like me, I communicate with older people in my family on Facebook, kids and nephews on like TikTok, so each one is like a different persona, I think, right? But I definitely see that coming, yeah.
It's crazy, and it makes you wonder. It makes you think, like, what is the next, tech boom, right? We hit the internet, we're hitting AI, we're hitting crypto. There's going to be another one. There's going to be multiple more, and it's about, how do you use it so that it doesn't necessarily take advantage of you, but that you can hopefully use it and optimize what you're already doing and existing. Yeah, super.
I mean, supposedly in Japan, all the men are getting like AI robot girlfriends,
I mean, we get lonely. People get lonely, right?
Yeah.
I can only imagine, right? Especially with COVID. With COVID, people were stuck at home. If you didn't live with your family, what'd you do? Watch TV, talk to AI? Like,
it's insanity right now. So talk about how you empower business owners.
Different ways. It's one of those things, we have a partner, a friend that always says, it depends. It depends. And it really does depend, unfortunately, right? Because I think it's around who are they? What are they working with? What are their challenges, right? Do they need someone to say, hey, you can do this? Or do they need someone to say, hey, you're taking on too much? And evaluating their circumstance. It's almost like, if any consultants out there, right, how do you go about consulting? Well, you need to understand. You have to ask questions and say, hey, where are you at? Where are you lacking? Do you need more marketing? Are you utilizing marketing? And there are different ways where I'm actually working with someone right now where they feel like they're in a bind. They're like, I really want to grow, but I only have so many funds to put to this, right? And right now it's not his full-time job. He's an owner, it's his side gig, but he's like, I really want to grow and I don't know if I have all the resources. Great, how can we get those resources? How can I empower you to find those resources? Do I have resources? Can I connect you to the right people? Because there's a gap that needs to be filled, right? In order for you to really make the sales worth it and to spend that next dollar, okay, do we need to go get you more sales? Is it a marketing thing? And so trying to find what that gap is, what that pain point is, to say, okay, if it's a money thing, how can we find a small short-term loan? Do you have savings? Do I know somebody else who knows a different tactic? And really just connecting them to the right people. And if I don't know, then finding somebody who does. And really empowering them to have that conversation and be open to those ideas.
So, two-part question. Part one is like, how many companies are you dealing with right now in any kind of way you want to define dealing with? And what's like your limit? What's the most amount of number of companies you could actually handle?
Yeah, so I think there's probably 4 or 5 that are just in the acquisition space where we're having conversations, maybe we're putting in an offer, we are in due diligence. So acquisitions stay about 5. Then on the consulting side, there's like 2 or 3 that are back and forth, not like full-time taking up, our day and space, but about 3 of them that are, hey, let's touch base. Hey, where are you at? Hey, what do you need? Is there anything, you need support on? So I think total would be about 8. Capacity-wise, I think it depends on the in-depth. So I would probably we would only want to do up to 5 in the offer and due diligence stage, because once you get to a certain point, like it's all hands on deck. It's everyone's like, let's double check the numbers, let's look at the ops, let's look at some KPIs. So 5 is probably like the max right now. On the consulting side, I would say we could probably go up to 5 or 6, and it really will just depend what's needed, right? If they're needing full-time management, it would probably be closer to 1 or 2. If it's something where it's like, hey, we're maybe more advising the operation flow, sales and marketing, maybe some brand, then that easily we can do 5 or 6.
And how do you decide what companies to deal with? Is like based on revenue, AR, MMR, industry? Like how do you decide that?
In terms of who we work with? Yeah. So consulting wise, we'll work with anybody. From a business standpoint, like we do own a retail shop. We're partners in a retail shop. And then one is like a product itself. Industry wise, it can go anywhere.
Is there any industry you don't deal with?
We don't like restaurants. Usually we wouldn't even do retail. The only reason we're doing retail is because it's such an opportunity for us to more mentor the main owner for that business, and because again we want to empower people to build their own net worth, build their own communities. We were like, hey, we see a lot in you as an owner, so we're small owner in that one to really lift this mentee up to really own being an owner. Industry wise, on the acquisition though, we have been focusing a lot on the supply chain side of things. So we were deep in the startup for moving food products specifically around the globe. And so for that, anything that was manufacturing, transportation, warehousing, that's kind of how we got into the aviation space, was like, you can move product on a plane, imagine that. So anything to move product, house product, or make product, we had been looking at. now, and I'm actually this is like perfect timing for this podcast and for anyone to know, we have niched all the way down to food manufacturing. So Spencer's working as a like fractional CEO over at Sunday Supper, which is a startup food company. And him working there has really taken a focus on our food knowledge. So we're like, we know food, we already know the systems, we know the players, we know how to move it. Let's just focus on that. So for us right now, we're actually doing a pretty big roll up in the food manufacturing space. And that's really exciting because it's food. You can't go wrong.
So let's pivot to when you was the supply chain director for Good Planet Foods. Talk about that, what you did there.
Oh man, at the very beginning, so I was part of the founding
And
team.
Good Planet Foods is like a restaurant or tech company. What is Good Planet Foods?
So Good Planet Foods is a plant-based food company. Their focus at the very beginning was plant-based cheese. So they made a coconut oil cheese product, mozzarella, cheddar, smoked Gouda, really good stuff.
I ain't gonna lie, this just sounds like so evil, like so like it just seems like so like, are you kidding me, right? Like,
so
no.
You can almost call it tech, right? You have to have the R&D technology behind the door. But yeah, no, we were making plant-based cheese.
This sounds so wrong.
It was really good though because Spencer and I are lactose intolerant.
Oh, okay,
so,
that makes sense. Okay.
So how I got into Good Planet, it was actually
And they're located here in Seattle.
They are, headquartered here, but all our product now was made in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, of course it is.
Cheese country.
Yeah.
But I went to a show with Spencer. Originally, I was supposed to see family. And they had the show going on. I was like, let me just help. I brought some nice clothes. I'll go help you guys at the booth. And I'm sitting there trying the grilled cheese, and I was like, there's no way. This is real cheese. Like, this is a joke. And they're like, no, it's not. I ate so many grilled cheese that day, partially because I was making them. And if it gets cold, you don't feed that to people walking by for samples, right? So, okay, I'll eat it. That's how I got into it. It was literally 3 or 4 people at the beginning of the company. And I just kept showing up. To be honest, I didn't necessarily love my current job. I was working as a supervisor at the Lifetime Cafe in Bellevue, and they were across the freeway. So I was dating Spencer. He was working there, so I kept going over to see him, but nonchalantly, I was also like, do you guys need help? Do you want me to, make some samples? Do you have stuff to go out? Like, what do you need? I'm happy to help. I did that for like a full month before they were finally like, okay, we should probably hire her. But it was a hard decision because we were still fairly early in our relationship. We hadn't been together for 2 years or anything crazy. It was new. And so it was like, if she becomes really good at this and you guys break up, there's a decision we have to make. So it ended up working out, and we got to both him and I got to build the operations team. So I got to run trade shows. I went to Canada like a month later after getting hired. To go do one of their trade shows up there. So I moved all of our booth stuff, got it set up, bring samples, shipping product everywhere. And it was literally the beginning. I honestly didn't know what I had gotten myself into. But we ended up building a team. Let's see, how many people did we have? Almost, I would say like it was eight operations. So we had transportation, we had customer service, we had helping on the inventory. I did a lot of the inventory management stuff. What else? Project manager was under our ops team, and it was such a cool team. I was so happy. Like, if I had to say the teams that I've built over time, rockstar team. Like, I would hire everyone in a heartbeat and be like, hey, we're gonna go do we're gonna go do not plant-based cheese. We're gonna go do some other food stuff. I would do it.
So you probably didn't mean to do this, but I think this gave some great advice, right? Like, all these people trying to find jobs, whether you're a college student or on laid off, right? Of course, like, you need to get paid what you earn, what you deserve, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's so many opportunities for like to go to like a startup, a company, like, hey, do you need this? Do you need that, right? And if you're doing good stuff, maybe they don't hire, but they're gonna say, hey, people in my network, Jason's fucking kicking ass. I can afford to hire him. Can you help me out and get him a job, right?
Yeah.
I think there's so many people miss that opportunity, right?
They do, and actually, I loved the reason I even got into startups was because I got an internship at a startup from Seattle University, and it wasn't my ideal, it wasn't my go-to, but it was what was available at the moment, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. And I have now gone back at Good Planet Foods. How many? I think we did like 3 different internships We also hired a lot of people who were trying to adjust back into life from actually being in prison. So our founder, David, and Spencer himself had spent time in prison. And for them, it was really like, how do we get people back on their feet? And so for us, it was like, again, how do we empower people to get back to and be better than they were? So internships are amazing. We actually literally this last week launched our internship at Prospera Ventures. And it's just one of those things where if you can get hands-on experience working with people who just want to grow and do good work, like I would say take that opportunity 1,000%.
Yeah, I just think a lot of college students, people in general, have it wrong, right? Because so I work with the University of Washington. I get sales internships from them. So I apply. A lot of people I'll tell them honestly, I can't afford to pay anything. No, I can't work for you, right?
Yeah.
But but one thing I'm proud of, every intern I had has got a job somewhere else. Help them get a job, right? But yeah, I just so many people have the wrong attitude. No, I graduated from college. I need $80,000 a year job. What have you done, right?
Yeah.
I think another challenge too. A lot of college students are I'm kind of exaggerating, but they graduate in June, right? And all the applications say, need experience. I'm just glad I have no experience. They expect you to get 1 or 2 internships, right?
Yeah.
Something, right?
If I could go back and do it again, I probably would have just shadowed. I would have asked someone to shadow them or work for free for them in any capacity.
Yeah.
And I encourage people that I work with, I just did the Seattle U mentorship program that they have, and that was one thing I told them when you're thinking about a field that you want to do but you're not sure, it's go shadow them, go find someone who's willing
no one's gonna say no.
That's what I'm saying.
And if they do,
you don't know that till later.
If they do say no, it's you probably don't need them anyway.
Yeah, or they're probably
thinking, fucking jackass.
I was gonna say they're not worth shadowing to begin with. But if someone were to come up to me and say, "Hey, Bianca, I really like what you're doing, but I don't know if that's something I would be interested in. Would you mind if I shadowed you for a day or for a week?" And I would figure out a way to do it. If that was going in, because I work from home, if that's going into a library, if that's saying, "Hey, this is what I'm working on today, and I'm not perfect, so I like to go to my team and have them check my work," and all of that, they would probably learn so much. But you don't know that when you're younger, because we have that fear instinct when we're younger, right? We're gonna fail, they're gonna say no. But if you do that to anyone, yeah, sure, why not? I'll have you sign this NDA, but...
Yeah, I think one of the big examples of that, I had a guy on a podcast. He ran the 400-meter hurdles in the 2016 Olympics right in Brazil, right? Mm-hmm. And so when he was doing Olympic training, going to college, University of Texas, he reached out to... He wanted to do... He does right now has a $100 million financial equity company. Mm-hmm. And so in Austin, he reached out to all these big wig bankers. Now, he didn't mention being an Olympian, trainer, of course, that gave me an advantage, right? But I still mentored them 8 hours a day, did training in college, right? No one does that, right?
No, and it's one of those things where I think when you're younger, you think people won't give back unless they're at
everyone
level,
wants to
right?
give back.
It's not till they're 60 or they won't say yes, but everyone has there's that instinct in us good people that are yeah, I'll teach you, I'll show you.
Yeah, I always say if you reach out 100 people, probably one would be a fucking jackass, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them will be able to help you out, or I can't help you, or here's someone to connect you with. Or the worst, man, I don't have the time right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's suppose you and Spencer are looking at business, right?
Yep.
I'm sure this will never happen because y'all a tight-knit team, whatever. But if you meet with the team and do whatever, Spencer's man, this is the best company ever. You're Spencer, this is the worst fucking company I've seen in my fucking life. Are you on drugs? What's going on right now?
Oh my gosh. Actually, I do feel like that's happened. And it's not that it wasn't as drastic as this is the worst company, but it was they what do they call it? We have a word for it where you fall in love with it, and it's almost like you've got rose-colored glasses almost, right? Yeah. And so you kind of forget about everything else you were doing, right? You kind of forget marketing, you're kind of replying to emails, but your focus is now I am so in love with this company, whether it's the industry numbers, whatever, that you're focused on it, right? Oh, the people are so great, and we had this exact experience, but you go back to it, looking back on it now, even him, he's you know what? I'm glad this one didn't work because, first of all, the numbers were shit. They were. We had nothing to work with. But we loved the people, we loved the business. Like, there was so much to it that was like, we could do this. But you go back to it and then you're like, ooh, these numbers, like, we would have kind of been screwed, right? And then if the next domino had fallen over, like, this would not have been good. And so there is, I think, that balance where you have to get multiple points of view, whether it's just me and Spencer or other people on our team. It's like, hey, balance me out. Am I thinking too positively on this? And I think that's what's good about having other members.
So cheers real fast, my friend.
Good to see you again.
So we met at a networking event for Summit, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if I told you this right. Maybe I did. We were talking at this event. So Jaime invited me, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe a week before, 2 weeks before, right? It was my calendar, right? The day it was like 6:30. The day I was like, man, I'm not doing. I'm like, I don't deal with no fucking people. I'm like,
I want to go home.
I want to go home. I was in like dark mode, right, man? But like, man, like, just go, Jason. And I went. I met you. I met Cody Brown. I met so many people, right? It's like, and the lesson is like, sometimes you don't feel like doing stuff. You got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You have to force yourself to do it sometimes.
It is, and I feel like from someone who works from home, when a networking opportunity comes up, my first reaction is, yes, I'm going. Mm-hmm. And then within the days coming up to it, there's always that hint of like, oh, do I have the energy?
Yeah.
Like,
so what's my time? Who's going to be there?
What's my ROI on this, right? Do I have other stuff that's prioritized?
Because we've always been like networking events are like, this is a complete waste of time. Like, these people are like snobs or jackasses, whatever the case may be.
Everyone's just going to pitch me on X, Y, and Z.
What kills me too, like, a networking event and you tell, okay, there's groups of four. Mm-hmm. These 4 people know each other, right? You're not networking, right? Yeah. You're not networking, right? You're just, doing like, reacquainting yourself with friends already know, right?
Yeah. I like to walk up to those groups though and really just be like, hi. And
then, I hate doing that. I can't do that.
They almost get uncomfortable first. They get uncomfortable first, right? But then they realize like, oh shit, that was a cool person, right? Yeah. Because give them a little bit of time, give them an intro, whatever, I'm mingling, and then you can walk away, right? But it is hard to find, where do you start the conversation, how do you decide if it's worth continuing right here at least, and then like, okay, now I need to part because,
Yeah, my tech, I'm trying to do a good job on the mic. So, hey, if you talk to somebody or what are you doing, right? Go meet someone else, right?
Yeah. Just wave from across the
Exactly,
the
right. Yeah, I mean, you have to network. You have to be like what's the word? Like a pinpointer, right? You just can't go to any.
Yeah.
Like, for you to be a waste of time for you to go like a network event for like, I don't know, making, farmland or, a networking
Something
thing.
That's not focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So let's suppose you acquire a business. What type of responsibility do you have for when the previous owner, he gets a check? What kind of response do you have to make sure he transitions to a better life? Or you're like, okay, here's your $10 million.
Yeah.
It's not on me for you to be happy, or it's not on me for you figure out the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
We did this transaction, right?
Yeah, and actually, that's a great question, because at the beginning of our conversations, one of the things I love to ask them is, do you have plans? Like, are you ready to travel the world? Have you already done that? Are you moving? Like, do you already know what you're doing? Because I am curious what it looks like for them, right? Because they've been thinking about this idea, they're gonna leave the day-to-day, and have you thought about it? Because I'm genuinely curious. I want to know. And honestly, if you are gonna travel, like, where are you going? I'd love to know about it, right? Maybe I need to go there. But I do want to know what they're doing, if they've thought of it. I also think that we do talk at the beginning of if they have a preference on transition. There are some people we meet where they're a little bit on the younger side, and they're like, nah, I have about a 3-year runway. I could do whatever. There are others that are like, I kind of just want to do this for 6 months, get you guys comfortable, and then I want to be done. Right? And so when we're talking through those, it's really good to know, because then we can figure out, what do we need to plan on our end, right? Does that mean one of us fills in the gap? Is there someone on their team that's going to move up? How much due diligence do we need to do or follow them around? And so having those conversations and clear expectations at the beginning is really, really important.
Has this ever happened? Like, you buy a business and the person says, you know what, man, thanks for this money. I'm gonna go chill out. I'm gonna travel the world for 2 years. And they come back in 3 months. I was wrong. I want to get back involved in business. Can you hire me as CEO, hire me back in the business, something like that?
Oh, that's funny. I personally have not had that interaction. I'm sure there are quite a few people out there, though, that have had that where they're like, I would love to just stay busy. But I think in that capacity where they're not sure that they're going to do that when you're having the conversation about buying the business, you almost, if it's worth bringing them back on, I would almost do it more as an advisory capacity, right? Because they do know the business, they know the industry, and they know the people. So I would look to them from an advice standpoint if there was that good relationship and rapport. Now, if they were messing up the culture or there were some other like negative things, you know, you have to be nice about saying like, hey, you know, we love your input, but I don't think it's going to be feasible. But I think from an advisory standpoint, they have really good knowledge, especially when they've been running the business. If it's one that's been around for 40 years, like they could have some really good advice.
And I'm guessing y'all saw non-compete, so people don't start the same business like within a certain amount of time?
Usually. Sometimes it depends on the sector, but yeah.
So let's talk about your Washington Prison podcast. Is that still going on?
That is, I think they finished season 1.
And what prison do they do that out of?
They're doing it out of Walla Walla.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a federal prison or something else?
I believe it's the biggest state one. Ooh, I might have it all wrong. But it is the biggest one.
And y'all like this? Any of you like random prisoners or like
running into them, or
like how do you do the podcast?
So it's actually really funny. They had a group inside actually that really wanted to start one. And of course, they were running into friction with DOC, the Department of Corrections, to really move it forward. And so, I mean, someone knew somebody who connected them to our business, and we've been trying to actually get in to do videography and podcasts in the prison. And so there was like this huge process. I think it took like at least 2 or 3 years to have the conversations, outline the plan, what is the budget to actually get to the point of recording. So it was a push and pull from both ends. There was a group inside that was like, we would love to do this. And then there was us saying,
when you say
hey,
inside, you mean the prisoners, right?
Inside, yeah. And then us on the outside saying, well, we can come in and support and actually find the funds and video edit, or, well, it wasn't video editing at the time. It's still sound, but be able to at least build the media so that people would know about the podcast.
And so what kind of stories are you trying to tell? Are you trying to tell stories like ran in prison, like trying to say, hey, I know I'm really innocent, or is it more like, hey, you know, I actually did this stuff, or like this prison life?
So it is all about storytelling, and it's not necessarily about, oh, I'm innocent, or, oh, you know, they had it all wrong. It's really about how did I get here, and where did I like see that shift in myself, right? Because what we've seen a lot with people is that they go in at a very, very young age, right? We're all stupid when we're young. So anyone between 18 and some actually probably went in earlier depending on how far back it went. But anywhere between 18 to even 25, like they got 20 plus year sentences.
Yeah.
And so you don't know anything when you're there. So, you know, you're in there, let's say 5 years go by, 10 years go by, and then it starts clicking for them. I'm here for another decade.
And in prison, you don't. I don't think you get rehabilitated in prison. You just get a PhD and being a criminal, right?
It's not the place where people want to give you resources, because you deserved this. Yeah. You were bad. You deserve being punished and alone, and you need to think about what you did for X amount of years.
And if you do get out, no one's gonna like, hey, you did your time. Here's a $100,000 job, you know.
Exactly.
Now, of course, like, you know, if you like went to jail for being a pedophile, or maybe you fucking raped someone, like
there are definitely ones
or you mass murdered 3 people, you know, you're done, right? But you're like, I don't know, like if you like got caught selling marijuana or if you were like a aviation pilot, you know, flying cocaine from Seattle, Washington, Mexico, yeah, okay, like.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. All of the stories I've heard, and actually everyone that I've met that's we've worked with that has come out and has had their stories, like it blows your mind. And I think that's where they found the company came from. It was like they had so Spencer and Vic Chopra, the founders, they were in what they call work release together. So they did their time. Now they needed to spend a certain amount of time at this like housing actually near here. You need to be in a housing and you can leave within these hours if you have a job, right? So they met then, and Spencer's idea was when he was in, they had people come in from the outside, so like big CEOs come in and actually listen to some of their stories. And he saw their minds and everything just shift in terms of like, wow, this person went to prison because they were selling whatever, right? Coke or marijuana or whatever. And it was like, for them, it was like, oh my God, they were just a really good salesperson. They just had the wrong product, right? And so they see these shifts.
I would argue with like the people selling marijuana back in the day, they were damn good salesmen. Again, damn good businessmen.
Yeah. And it's almost like they become a human again. It's not, oh, you did a bad thing, bad you. It's, oh, you are a person. You have feelings. You went through this and you got there because of whatever, whether it was your resources, your location. And so when he saw them have this shift and like, oh, wow, I could use someone who's got some hustle like you in my business, he was like, how can I bring that to the outside world? How can I get others to understand that there's a shift, that not everybody in prison, obviously there are some, that should be penalized for the rest of your life. It's a life sentence to say, yep, I had a felony or 5 felonies or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely, if you have application, have you had a felony? I think that's not to be on there, right? I think this thing called remove the box movement happened a long time ago. I mean, obviously, like, you know, if you're a 34th interview, then you should ask, like, hey, are you having any felonies? Well, yes, I do. I did whatever, right? You know.
Well, and Vic, he came from the production side of things. So again, Spencer being the visionary and Vic being like, oh, I already know how to work a camera. I know how to edit. It kind of just seamlessly came together, and they had this vision of getting into the prisons. Now they're doing the podcast. So
and what's the goal of the podcast?
I think there are different goals for every different project. So this one that just launched season 1 is really around the team that they've built inside and sharing their stories. And they kind of have like a mix going on. So they're sharing history from the Walla Walla prison because it's been abused over the years. So they have history that they're throwing into the podcast, but they're also what it was really unique. One of the main guys, Anthony, he actually got out during the filming of their podcast. So it actually also measures, hey, he starts at the beginning of the podcast where he got his letter that he's going to be released. And then throughout the podcast, there are bits and pieces of him actually coming home. He recorded, you know, on voice memos, he actually got home, what he was feeling, what it's like to hear from the other guys, because now he's got this new life. He's not in every day. So it's like, it's a whole different shift, and it's a really unique storytelling. Like, I listened to the podcast and I was like, they did such a good job with the audio, with the story. And again, it just shows it's to humanize them. They went through something. They obviously got themselves there, but the results of getting into that situation, they've reanalyzed their lives. They're like, wow, what do I want for myself? Right? I don't want to be known as this person that spent 20 years and did nothing with their life.
And you ought to use it almost a way like, you know, like, I'm in prison, I'm getting out. I go on the podcast, I kind of like, you know, portray me good, like, hey, Jason has these skills, help him get a job. Y'all do any kind of stuff like that?
We do work with nonprofits to help support, and actually I think there are programs now being initiated where we will help them do the resume, we'll help them gain the interview skills. What sucks though is, as qualified as you can be, you're still going to run into like housing, right? Oh, we don't take people who have a felony, or we do a background check and it's a non-negotiable, right? There are certain things that some of them are stuck, and so they have to find these creative ways. And it's hard because usually the best way to get out of it is you have support from family and from friends. And if you don't have that support, it's easy to go either back into that lifestyle or, you know, get stuck and end up being back on the street in some shape or form.
And like, I'm sure society would never do this, but I always thought like most people get out of prison, it's like, okay, here out in the street, like, I always like to give, not give them $1 million, I give them something, right? Maybe 6 months money, I don't know. Of course, I don't think society would ever do that, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I went in when I was 17, I'm getting out when I'm 40, I don't know anybody, my family's not around, you know, can I qualify for anything? And it's like, maybe here's $100, but it's like, what does that get you nowadays, right? It's like a phone costs money, clothes cost money. Like, even if you're going to go shop at the Goodwill, like, you still need cash to do that. The credit is usually shot.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah.
For everyone.
I don't know this, but if you to get on welfare, you can't have a felony, do you? Or do you know?
I don't know, actually. They probably have their process in terms of like if you've taken this step and it failed, and then if you've taken this step. Same thing with like health insurance, right? You have to have the job if the job will let you.
And you need an address to get a job, right? You know.
have to have the address. So where are you staying? And I think that's where like not every state and not every program does the work release. So like with Spencer, work release worked out really well. And for other people, it's like, oh yeah, or here's 2 weeks. We'll do this for 2 weeks, but then you're kind of on your own. Okay, where do I stay?
2 weeks is
How do I pay for rent?
like 2 weeks is no time, right?
It's nothing. Yeah, it's a crazy.
I mean, having said like, I think there's some people like deserve like, okay, like you did some horrible shit back in the day. Especially like, this is my thing too.
And
like
those don't let them out, right?
Yeah, this is my thing too. Like when you're hiring someone, like if someone like did something horrible like 10 years ago, maybe they changed whatever, you know. Like example, maybe a bad example. Like maybe suppose someone had a DUI, but it's 10 years ago, and the DUI they killed 2 people, right? I mean that's a bad thing, it's a horrible thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's 10 years past, right? They got released. Maybe maybe they changed their life. Now someone got DUI last night and killed 2 people. Yeah, no.
It's a whole other story. It's crazy. It's interesting because every state, every jurisdiction, all of them are so different. And the unfortunate thing is you get these series of like time spans where someone wants to make an example out of someone, right? The judge is going to say, you're going to be the one this time. And it might not be terrible, right? It might be something very small that
gotta send a message.
I have to send a message. And so they get stuck with something terrible that is like they have to deal with now.
So what's your take on this, right? So I consider myself a Republican conservative, right? But I don't believe the death penalty, right? Reason being is this, right? So let's suppose like someone kills some people, right? Kills them, right? If you give them the death penalty, it's going to take 20 years for them to get actually executed, right? And every 3 years,
you're housing them.
And every 3 years, there's like a appeal, right? So every 3 years, you have to take the family the whole thing all over again, right? Which I don't agree with. Like just put them in prison for life. And I realize, having said that, someone killed my kid, like that motherfucker put the electric in his goddamn house, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna be kind of hypocrite, right?
It's different when it's us.
Yeah, it's different than us, but I just think I don't know, right? It's just, I think it's the resources, like the trials, like retrials, whatever, over and over. I don't think it's worth it, right? Just.
Yeah, the death penalty is a tough one because it's one of those where it's like, for me, I always question, how do we know they got the right person?
Oh yeah, that's it too.
Right, because it's like, I know there's a lot of technology and advancements out there that work really well.
So many DNA things.
But now I'm like, how do you know they just didn't set it up really, really good?
It was crazy back in the day. Even now, like, hey, Tom Brown saw Jason do it. It's been proven. Like eyewitness testimony is like the most. What's the word I'm looking for?
The strongest.
No, the weakest.
Oh, the weakest. Okay.
Yeah, the weakest. Like the most unreliable, right?
Yeah. Oh, but then they believe that.
Yeah. I saw this guy do it. And there's so many times in the past, hey, no, this guy really did it, right? I think it's no reason you can't do the death penalty, right?
Yeah, I just don't think it shouldn't fit good on anyone's conscience if someone is killed when I feel like there's no, unless there are literally cameras and everything that can point to someone did it, it just doesn't make sense. Now there is the other aspect that you mentioned too, right? It's a life sentence. Okay, then how do we manage how many people get life sentences? What are the criteria to get the life sentence? And then is there a max, right? Because there are a lot, especially during COVID, these places were maxed out. Like prisons were like, they had to have people in gyms because
I remember that.
They were so full.
I remember, like the releasing people because of COVID. It kills me like someone gets a triple, quadruple life sentence. Like, are you kidding?
200 years.
Are you kidding me? Right? You expect them to come back alive, right? You know, yeah. But having said, like I said, like, you know, I understand like family. Like, I won't say they want revenge, but like, hey, you took my child from me. Like, what's the repercussions, right?
Yeah.
Another thing, I don't believe in the death penalty. Like, someone's supposed to be a really bad person, right? You never know if someone's gonna change, right? Like, there's so many stories in prison where like someone's a hardcore criminal, like just a really bad person, and something happens in prison where like maybe they get older and they become a lawyer or they give back community and there's too many stories like that, right?
Yeah, it's insane because just like what you said, and I didn't even think about it this way, but you do have to put everyone through that pain again, right? Even if it's 5 years later, 20 years later.
You have to go back, you know, like you have to say, hey, this person killed my kid. The kid could have done this, done that. It's like it's just I don't agree with that, putting families through that over and over again.
Yeah, and did you know that I don't know a bunch of other states, but I think within Washington in particular, even if it was an accident, you're actually charged with more time than if you did it on purpose.
What?
Yes.
That makes no sense at all.
Yeah. So okay, so I saw someone, I was defending myself, or like something happened that you couldn't really prevent, or again, accident. No, and if they don't die, like they're charged with more time.
So what you're saying is, if I understand you right, I see someone, we're arguing, right? I pull a gun out and kill him. But then,
let's say you would do 5 years.
Yeah.
But you shot him and he didn't die.
No, next scenario, so shooting him, I push him, he slips down and busts his head on the back of the sidewalk and dies. I get more time for pushing him down.
Yes.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
Only in the state of Washington.
It's terrible.
Only in the state of Washington.
The system, man. The system. It's rigged. But not a lot of people know this and I think part of it is because if you don't know or you don't pay attention or for whatever reason, you're just not enlightened by it to understand, like, oh shit, what? Like,
how long have you lived here?
I've been here pretty much my whole life. I was born in California, but
is this true? I've always heard this. I don't know if it's true. Supposedly, I've heard that like if you like here somewhere in Seattle, and you and someone else have an argument, you can go a cop and say, me and this guy gonna fight 1-on-1, and y'all can fight, and then when someone starts beating someone else, the cop will stop it.
Really?
I've heard that. I've heard that several times. Yeah. I have no idea if it's true or whatever, but my thing, if you're the same thing 3 times from 3 different sources, it's probably true.
Huh.
I've always heard that for long.
Now you gotta go test it.
Yeah, no shit, right? No shit, right? Like, damn, that's some wild shit right there.
Oh my gosh. That's interesting. And I wonder if it's is it a state thing or like a county thing? Because I know
supposedly it's a Seattle thing.
A Seattle thing?
Yeah, supposedly a Seattle thing.
Crazy. Huh. I don't know. No comment.
Yeah. So how many tattoos you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6 maybe?
6. You don't get any more? Are you
maybe.
done?
I'm waiting for the next. I think what I want
inspiration.
to do. I want to do the next like big thing or the next big acquisition. I want us to I want to get something in relation to it.
So what if someone said, "Hey, we'll sell the business to you, but you have to get some kind of tattoo." You do it.
I do it. Depends where it's at, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do I get to choose?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Right here.
No shit, yeah. That's yeah. I always tell people like, if I win the $1 billion money, that's if I had a face tattoo, I'm going to $1 billion lottery, right?
No, I don't think I could do my face.
No way,
too
yeah,
much.
yeah, it's too much. I see people with face tattoos like, dude, like, what are you doing, right? Like,
It's my brand.
Yeah, you see social media posts all the time where like someone like, I can't get a job, and like be all tatted up and stuff, right? Like, I don't know.
That is the other thing with, going back to the prison thing, right? Like
the tattoo
so many
culture.
Of them they have so many, and like I think there is support to help start the removal process, but that's its own life sentence too. Wow, you were part of a gang or something, huh?
Yeah, like I have like 69 tattoos, but if I wear pants and long sleeve shirts, you can't tell them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all in the face.
Yeah, exactly right. What do you think from doing the podcast? What do you think people will get wrong about prisoners?
I think the biggest thing that society gets wrong is that they're all the same. And I just don't think it's true. Because all of us have a past, and I think we forget that we're all human and we make mistakes. And with the majority of them going in while they're fairly young, the mistakes are done in a way where they didn't know enough, or they had the bad people to look up to, right? And so I think saying or thinking that all of them are the same is just.
I remember there's a study done a little while ago where it basically like they asked people like questions, and it was like pretty much proven like 80% of us have committed at least 1 or 2 felonies, right? Easily,
Probably,
right?
yeah.
At least they can get caught, right? Think about every day you break a law, right? Whether it's speeding or doing whatever, like suppose you're speeding and you look down and you hit a car, right? It's just like that, right?
I think one of the biggest things, what is the phrase that I heard? It's like the difference between you and me is that I got caught.
Yeah.
That's the difference between you and a prisoner. Other than that, they still had a childhood, they still had parents, maybe they were around, maybe they weren't. Like, you're still the same. I just got caught as the prisoner, right?
Here's something crazy for you. All these prisoners, they used to be a baby that someone loved, right? Everyone was a baby. Like everyone, mass murders, when you case may be rapists, they used to be a baby that two parents loved, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened, right?
Yep. And I think that's the thing is what I found too is usually when you meet people who have changed their lives, is that is one of their biggest regret. Mm-hmm. It's not that they got caught is the biggest regret. It's the fact that they stuck to it so long, and they weren't able to change early enough to not end up in that situation.
Probably the people around them and stuff,
Exactly. But at the same time, at least I can only speak for Spencer in this aspect, but for him, he's like, I don't regret the fact that I ended up doing that time. Mm-hmm. To him, it ended up better because he was able to now have a focus. What am I going to do? What am I going to be? And like really shift his own mind for like, I am better than this. Mm-hmm. And if that hadn't happened, maybe he wouldn't have had that realization.
Like for me growing up, I was in the best situation. Like I was around a lot of really bad people, right? But fortunately, I would hang out with them. We would like do like stuff that wasn't the best things, whatever.
Yeah.
But whenever they like, did something would do something really bad, like Jason, no, don't be here. Like go away, right?
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So they kind of took me that way, right? They're like, anything like really bad, like they're about to like do some really bad shit, like, hey, Jason, like, hey, Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah.
And you went the other route though, and you served.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you buy a business from an owner, how do you go about preserving the owner's legacy? Like, like suppose like Tom Brown has his picture on the business, right? When you buy like, hey, Tom Brown, you're like, take that fucking picture down, right? Fuck Tom Brown.
Yeah, it is interesting when it is a brand that really resonates with like a name like that, right? Like maybe their last names are Brown, and so how do you really keep that? Personally, I don't think we would take away from that. I think the history is the history. The way that business was founded and built, there's no reason to go back and edit it. It's like the way that the U.S. is going right now, right? People want to change what history was. You can't change it. History is history. So I think keeping the story, keeping the legacy, you can still do and grow the company. You don't have to tear it down. And I think that's one of the things that is hard for owners to understand too. Like, oh, they're gonna take it, they're gonna ruin it, they're gonna rip it apart, they're gonna fire all of my employees, and that's not always the case. I do think there are people or companies out there that would do that, but I think that's where you have to have that conversation with the owner and be very clear with what is your plan with my company, right? And I think it's okay to give permission to the owners to ask that question. What do you want to do with my company? And maybe you're not the right fit for my company, and that's okay, because different people, when they buy businesses, they may want to do different things. I always think that their legacy is meant to stay, and we don't like to just go in and fire people. That doesn't make sense.
Do you all ever like change the company name?
Usually we wouldn't. It would really depend on if for some reason it wasn't a good name to begin with, or if we decided we were going to create like a partner company and have that one like underneath it. But I would say it wouldn't make sense usually.
So you buy a company, the CEO leaves. Like how do you find another CEO to take over this company?
It depends. So if it's in an industry that we've already kind of worked in, Spencer and I can jump in, him as the CEO, me as the COO, to make it functional within like that transition period. We also want to be able to understand what those roles are, what does it entail, who's reporting to who, and then once we've done that transition, then we go looking at either people from the outside or people on the inside, because maybe they have people on the inside that they've already been with the company for 10 years and they're ready to move up, or maybe they can be trained to move up. So then what kind of resources do we need to bring to the table so that this person can feel confident in being the CEO or the COO?
How many hours a week do you think you're working?
Ooh, it does vary. I guess the question is in which company. Now, I think hour-wise, I'm probably somewhere between, I could be doing more, actually. So I think normal standard week, 9 to 5, that's what, 40 weeks? I could easily, and including the weekends, I could hit 50 to 60.
And how do you prevent burnout?
Just taking time for myself. Literally saying, I'm done at 5 o'clock today. I'm not checking email. I'm not doing this. Trying to take some of the weekend. So actually saying, okay, I'm going to go do this event. There is a life outside of work. It's just a matter of trying to make sure you plan for it. If I don't plan for it, like we went to a birthday party this weekend. If we don't plan for it, it's not going to happen. So everything for us goes in the calendar. Oh, we're going to go see your mom? It's on the calendar. Oh, we got to go so-and-so, like on the calendar. And if it's not on the calendar, then we're probably doing something work-related.
What's your take on, like, people talk about work-life balance, life is work. What's your take on all that kind of stuff?
My take is probably, like, because there's that big saying of, like, if you love what you do, you're not working.
Yeah.
I think there's a back and forth with that. I do love what I do, but that doesn't mean I'm not working, right? I love having conversations with owners. I love hearing their story. Like, most of them have been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, and knowing, like, how they got there and what their proudest moments were, like, that's really awesome to learn. So I have fun doing it, but it doesn't mean that it's not work. It definitely takes energy. And so for me, I think the whole work-life balance is, you have to understand what you're capable of and what your boundaries are, and no one can do that for you. And it takes work. Like when we started Prospero last year, it was really weird for me. I was like, okay, this is first day on the job. What am I doing? Like, I make up my task list, right? So it's like,
and it's hard. That's harder than people would say it is, right?
Yeah, it's crazy because at the same time you're not sure where to start, but then there's so many places to start. So you're overwhelmed with, like, almost decision fatigue right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And so, because when I started, I was like, I already had the business set up. I already had the account set up, checking wise, email wise, like everything was ready to go. And then it was just like, now it's time to execute. And so where to execute first, how to do it, everyone has their own opinions on it, but it can be overwhelming, and you have to go through like seasons almost to be like, this is working or this is not working, and you have to shift. And it took a while to find my own rhythm, and then it took a while once Spencer was full-time with me to find our rhythm. Like, what does our mornings look like? Because obviously we're a different circumstance where we live together, and we're not just jumping on virtual calls, but trying to find that groove, it takes a moment to figure it out.
So how you deal with this, right? So how do you prioritize stuff, right? I think a lot of people, including me, like, we have 1,000 things to do. We have a list 1 through 10.
Yeah.
You don't do 1 through 2, 1, 2, 3. You do the thing like 985 because it's the easiest to do, right?
Yeah. For me, I love task lists. So when I create a task list, I do find that I'm more efficient. If I end up getting way too busy, I forget all about even trying to do a task list, and it just gets me more distracted. So I do try and have a task list. Within like this last week, we were putting an offer with a business, and so for us it was like priority 1 is we need to put that offer together. What does it look like? Do we want a deck? Do we want the letter? Do we understand what we're looking for? And so if it wasn't tailored to this deal, and if it wasn't done, then everything else follows behind that. Some seasons or weeks for us, it changes. So I just started to launch our newsletter and a blog. And so for me, I want those ready to go before end of month. So that might, priority wise, as the month goes by, if I haven't touched doing it, that's slowly going up the list, right? So priorities change every day, and it's one of those things where it's like that startup mentality, right? It's not that it's a fire to burn out, and like, because we used to get this all the time at one of the other businesses. It was like a fire every day. It was like, oh, gotta do this. Oh, gotta do this. Problem solve. This one isn't necessarily problem solving. It's like, okay, this worked, this didn't, and let's make it more efficient, right? And so it just really changes every day. And so it's hard to say whether or not there's that list.
It makes sense, yeah. Okay. So how do you solve problems? I think a lot of people say they're problem solvers, but they're really not. How do you solve problems?
Honestly, it depends on the problem. I am really good at identifying and saying it's working. I ran into an error, right? And what we do in the company right now is I take the first steps to initiate solving that problem. So if that involves research, if that involves calling someone or support, let's say it's an issue, let's say the problem solving is on a platform, like who do I call to try and figure it out? If for some reason I can't figure out how to solve this problem, I go to Spencer and I say, hey, this is the problem, this is what I've done so far, can you help me? Spencer is an amazing problem solver. He also is one of those people that doesn't take no for an answer. So if it's no, how can I get it to a yes?
And next, so how you Spencer talk about this like this, right? So you have no kids, right?
No kids, yeah.
Y'all planning on having kids?
We're honestly not sure.
Like,
right now.
But how would that work, right? How do that? Because like usually, like a couple have kids, it's all on the wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about like have you talked about that? Like if I have kids, like does me Bianca take away from the business, like full time mom, or no? I'm a modern woman,
Yeah,
Spencer,
take the call while I have
yeah,
a baby.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Honestly, so we're not sure if we're going to go the route of kids. I am an amazing aunt. I have plenty of nieces and nephews, but having the kids aspect, we have thought about it on and off over the last few years, because that is one of the things that unfortunately we are time bound on, right? There is the other aspect where I'm like, honestly, if we want a family, like, let's look at adoption. Let's look at other things, right? There are so many people in the world that would love to have a family and that we would be caring for. So I think we understand our options when it comes to having a family. I think it's just a matter, like what you said, how do we execute that, right? Are we at a place where we can take time to make sure we're giving our kids what we need? Both of us grew up in fairly poor families, so we don't want it to be a situation where we're low on cash, now we have a baby, now we're even lower on cash. And so it's like, how do you balance that lifestyle, especially with inflation? And I think if you were to ask Spencer, he'd be like, oh, we can't have kids until we have a nanny, because there's no way that we can be able to give everything to them all the time. So it's a back and forth.
Have you ever thought about, I have no idea your age, right? You're not supposed to escalate her age. Have you ever thought about, man, can you see so many, families, oh, man, I'm, 49 years old. I can't have a kid, right? Here, every kind of conversation, I have to do the baby now versus older.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think if you had asked me even close to a decade ago, I'd be like, yeah, if I'm going to have a kid, I'm going to have it right now. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to do it young, and we can keep doing life. Now, I think it's more of if I feel like it's time, then let's have the conversation again. Mm-hmm. Because I think with Spencer, the way he approaches it is he's on the verge of do I want to be a dad? Mm-hmm. Do I don't want to be a dad? Right? Mm-hmm. And for me, I think, for him, when he talks to me about it, he's like, it is your body. Mm-hmm. It's up to you if you feel like you want to have a baby, at least that way, right? There are the other options, right? Where
you always adopt, do other things.
There's so many other options.
Keep on being a great aunt,
I know, right? And they trust me. They want us to watch their kids all the time. So it's more of do I have that maternal instinct to really go down that route? Or am I comfortable with being the cool aunt, hosting them, and then sending them home with their their parents?
Giving them candy, ice cream 24/7.
Exactly.
You deal with it, mom or dad.
Now it's your turn. But it's funny because my mom would hate me if she saw this, but I feel like I kind of was a parent a little bit to my younger brother. So we have a decent age gap. He actually just turned 18 and graduated high school, and I feel like a lot of the time I was helping raise him, and that was very maternal of me, because I was he was my favorite little brother. I was let's go get Menchie's and we'll play soccer and everything. So for me, I'm I kind of feel like I already did that. It just wasn't mine, right? And
that
people
makes sense,
have this idea that it has to be yours to be, and I feel like I have enough love to give if we wanted to go other routes.
Yeah, this is a lot of females have to make the decision, right? Am I going to be a boss bitch and be a president of some $100 million company, or it's I just think it's so unfair, right?
It is unfair, and I think where I'm at is I'm not on either end. I'm not I have to do just boss bitch stuff, and I'm not on oh, I just want to be mom 24/7. For me, I'm if I feel like it and we're in a good space and we're up for it, then cool. But
and what kills me, you have some ladies I'm a boss bitch, these stay-at-home mothers, like, they're worthless, right? And vice
Oh,
and vice versa, right? Or the same home
the
mothers.
judgment.
And the stay-at-home mothers, like, oh,
yeah.
how can you, like, not have a family? It's like, are you kidding, right? Just do you, right?
Yeah, and there shouldn't, and that's the other thing. Like, just be freaking a human being. Be
Yeah.
nice. Why do you have to judge? Like,
It's so hard to do for people to do that, yeah.
That's their life, honestly. And I think that's what one of the things people get stuck on, right? Is the opinions of others.
Mhm.
Don't worry about what
Yeah.
other people think about
Yeah,
you, right?
do you, right.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to deal with you.
You have to
And
look
what
yourself in the
you
mirror.
brought.
Look yourself in the mirror. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I happy, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I say yay to the boss bitches and yay to the moms, because
Do you think someone can be a boss bitch and a super mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to balance it, and I think part of being successful at it is having the support,
Mhm.
right? It's having a partner, or like, when I say partner, I mean like someone like Spencer,
Mhm.
or having partners like, let's say you're in an office, you have to bring the kids in, and you have literally partners of the business
Yeah.
that can actually support and you can lean on. Because if you don't have people that are going to support you and they're just going to judge,
Yeah.
how are you going to get anything done?
That's true. And you're doing on the YouTube channel pretty soon, right?
We are.
Has that started yet, or
No.
is that based
so
on the
excited.
business or based on the podcast?
This one is going to be based on the business.
Okay.
I think we're going to do a mixture of between live and just having content, because I think what's important to us is that people are getting information, whether it's about exit planning, about business, about growth, about strategy, but also being able to do it in a personalized way, right? Just like this, like we can sit here, we can talk, and just have a conversation about certain things, whether it's stuff on the growth aspect or maybe something in the economic world right now, right? There's a lot of changes on the business side happening right now. Let's talk about it, right? And how do you decide? And again, it's one of those things where we'll see if anything comes from it. I'm not saying people should listen to me, but it's good to get content from people that you trust.
Is it gonna be like a you have like a podcast place already? Like, what's the plan? Like 20-minute podcast, 30-minute YouTube?
Ooh, haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
I'm so excited to
Okay.
hash out the details.
Okay, cool. Are you gonna have like guest songs? It's gonna be you and Spencer talking.
I think we're gonna have some recorded stuff that's just us, and then I'm hoping to have some guests on it. So whether it's people that have already exited, some people that have bought, financial professionals come in and say, hey, this is what we think. I think it's gonna be cool. I'm excited.
How does the economy play a role in what you're doing, as far as buying stuff? You know, how's that play in
A
it?
lot. So one of the biggest things that have happened just within the first half of the year is tariffs. Right, supply chain is a big one that people are keeping an eye on, and depending on the business that we're looking at, that could be a big factor. Interest rates. So if we have to go out and raise capital or get financing, that is affecting the rates. That also is a baseline for, let's say we're working with someone who is going to do more of like a seller financing deal. They want a good interest rate too, right? So like, we want to make sure everybody's winning, but with the economic factors, people are also feeling very like holding back, right? How do I know if this happens, if I buy this business, the world isn't going to go to shit? And it's just one of those risks that you have to, do on a case-by-case basis.
So how did you get so smart with financial stuff? You studied in college, you just like taught yourself all this financial stuff?
Ooh, I feel like I'm learning every day still, to be honest. When I was in school, accounting was like one of my favorites number-wise, because I was like, oh, this makes sense. You go back historically. Finance, I was like, this could go out the window. I don't want to forecast or figure out numbers in a forecasting way, especially when you're dealing with loans, and it just gets complicated. Now some of it's been experience and having to constantly look at numbers and try and understand the big picture. Sometimes it's just me actually still learning, right? Walking through the numbers with our numbers guy and being like, wait, how did this happen? Or why did you do this? And I think that's what's nice about leaning on experts, right? If you lean on a CPA who knows tax code, they can help you try and figure certain things out. If you're dealing with someone who just understands more than you can still learn. So I think part of it's experience and part of it is just continuing to ask questions.
So all the stuff y'all do, like marketing, operations, sales, et cetera, if someone said, Bianca, like, what's your number one, like, what's the thing that you're the greatest at? What would it be?
Ooh. I think training.
Training?
Still.
Okay.
I think training is like a really big superpower of mine. And I think part of it is because I love it, because it has that educational aspect of like, I know this and I can train you on it, but because someone hasn't seen it yet, they can give me feedback. But what if we did this differently? And having it from a different point of view it's almost like I'm getting trained as well, because now we have two different set of eyes looking at, or three or four, depending on how many, that almost went bad, how many people we're going through this iteration on, and we get to learn together. Because I think what people feel like they have to do is when there's a process, that's the process. For me, it's a process right now, but we're going to improve it. And how can we improve it? So it's one of those things where I like to keep updating stuff. So just because it's the process today doesn't mean it can be the process tomorrow, because there might be a better way to do it, and I'm learning from the other person on what's not working as part of that process.
And so you also started this business like a year ago, you said?
Mm-hmm.
So how you deal with this, right? So like, I think most people, when they think of people doing what you're doing, they think like, oh, white people, a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
But so how have you been, okay, like, you're not old, you're not white, you're kind of new, you're young, Spencer was in prison. Like, how do you like convince people like to deal with you versus someone else?
I think it's the personal touch and relationship, and because we're just not fake. Like, we're not coming into it selling something that they're not going to get. But it is tough, because there's a point where you're selling, and there's a point where it's like, well, this is my experience in the startup world and what we've done so far, and if you find that valuable, awesome. So it is a battle. And part of it is because a lot of the people that we're working with, they are much older, right? People retiring 50, 60, 70, sometimes 80. And they look at me as this young little girl. What are you going to do with you can't run my business. And that's fine. They can believe what they want to believe, but I'm someone who's going to try and push that glass ceiling. If I have a commitment, I'm going to do 1,000% of the effort that I can. And I don't think they really know that until we have conversations, until we meet, until we go to dinner, until it's like, oh, like, she's going to do it. Like, and it's hard because it's the same thing with Spencer, even though at the beginning they might not know his background, right? They don't know what he's done, but he's learned, it's part of his story, he's going to share it, and he's going to break the glass ceiling too. And whether or not, again, coming from an external point of view, if they're going to judge, there's nothing we can do about it, right?
So I might make this up, but I think I saw somewhere like all the boomers are, there's like based like a $500 million or $10 billion of business being sold pretty soon, because all these boomers build the business up, the kids don't want to, right? So how can y'all take advantage of this, right? How can you take advantage of all these businesses being sold?
Yep. And actually there's a lot of people, like, I think we're still at the beginning of the stages where people are learning this and trying to figure out how to capitalize on it, right? And two, really get their foot in the door. Because the biggest thing, I think what people think about first is the money part of it. They're like, oh, that's a lot of money, we got to go for it. But what they don't think about is if that business goes under, not only from a money perspective, because now money's not flowing, it's not flowing to the suppliers, it's not coming from the customers, where is it going to go? Is it going to taxes? Is it going to work? It's not going to jobs. So people think that it's just about capitalizing on the money, but there's a relationship in those businesses, right? You have 10, 20, 30 customers. Those customers need what you're offering. Where do they go? Is there another business for them to go to? If this other business they go to also shuts down, who do they go to? And so they built this legacy. They built these businesses. And if they were all to shut down tomorrow, there's no businesses for people to go to. Like, United States runs on small businesses. We make the majority. The corporate area, they might have a lot of money, but they're still technically minority, like, within the business world. So if you can't find a win-win for that owner and taking over their business in an efficient way that makes them happy and makes you happy, those employees, those vendors, those customers, nothing is flowing. And so I think that might be something unique for Spencer and I. There probably are others that are thinking that too. Like, You need people to actually run businesses. And so there's just this whole gap where people just think first money, and then they think, oh, it's going to be easy. I've been doing this for a year. How easy do you think it is? I've acquired one small business, right? And maybe that's my fault too, right? There's we can pick and choose and get nitty gritty into it, but is it easy? Is it easy to be a real estate agent? Is it easy to be a developer?
I would say no. I would say no. Has there ever been a time where, like, like someone wants to sell a business to you, right? Mm-hmm. And you do the research, you do the due diligence, and you're like, you know what? Hey, Tom Brown, like, I don't want to sell this business, but like, if you leave, this business is gonna fail, right? Like, this business is all you, right? If there's a way this business is not gonna succeed without you, right? Let's like kind of come with a different plan, right?
Yep. There are actually a lot of businesses that are within a range where, and this happens naturally because we as humans we're either super trusting or we're not trusting at all, right? And you'll run into companies where they had enough trust issues where there's no management team because I've been screwed over so much. Fine, that's okay. But now we have to take that as a risk, or we need to figure out a way to value the fact that there's no one that's doing what's in your head. So you'd be surprised how many owners we run into where they just
I can just imagine.
And it's because we've been screwed, right? It's hard to trust people if you've been screwed once or twice because the negatives always overpower the positive, right? Now, then the other half is they were smart enough to at least bring in someone to help support numbers, maybe someone to help sales or marketing, or operations is usually the next one, because owners are the best at selling their own product. When in reality, they're actually the worst because they will take more discounts or more hits just to get the work done. And it's so hard, and it makes sense because the job is here. If we can figure it out, let's do it, right? But it also keeps you stagnant in terms of growth. If you really want to excel your sales side of things, actually give someone the responsibility to manage sales who doesn't have that straight attachment to the business that feels like they can do it the best. Because they'll put barriers. They'll say, sorry, we don't take any contracts that aren't over 1,000. An owner will say, oh, 800, sure.
Yeah.
Right? And now you've lost potentially $200. Now, that might not affect them immediately, but over time, they've probably lost a good amount of business by not keeping to those barriers.
What's something you see all owners, even if it's successful, like they're doing good, but something you see all owners are getting wrong, like they're like maybe like not a good salesperson, or maybe like trust people too much. Like, what do you see a characteristic that owners are like this, like not good at?
Something they're not good at. Usually the successful ones, and maybe not even just the successful ones, but there are a lot of owners who still like to be cheap when it comes to their business. Right? So, it's not worth me to get someone $2,000 a month for marketing. Are you sure? How do you know? Did you weigh the pros and cons? Have you tried it before? Did you actually get return? What are you doing now? I'm not doing anything. Okay, so maybe having something is more helpful. And it's interesting because it's one of those sayings, I think, where it's like, if you invest in yourself, you'll go further, right? If you invest in your business, you'll go further. But it's really, really hard, I feel like, for successful people to spend money to make money. It's just a hard thing to grasp. And I still catch myself every day doing it, right? Like, I don't want to spend this much. And you have to go back and be like, okay, maybe I need a second opinion because maybe I do need to spend that on this thing. But you don't know because it's hard.
What's the saying? You got to spend the money to make money, or something like that.
Yeah. It's just, you got to spend money to make money. And it's one of those things too where and I think it's the mentality of startup versus an established business, right? From a startup standpoint, I think an owner's mistake is thinking that they should be able to do everything, right? I gotta wear all the hats, I gotta make all the decisions.
I mean, you can do everything, but can you do everything well?
Yes, exactly. And then on the established side, it's not that you need to do everything, but usually if they still feel that way, they still won't propel to the next level because they want to make all the decisions. And it's that trusting aspect of like, they're not going to make the right decision, right? Because you haven't invested to train someone
Yeah.
to make the decision.
If they
for
don't,
you.
is that on you because you didn't train to make decisions, right? You're like, what kind of training process you have?
Yeah. Me personally?
I mean, just anyone in general.
Just anyone, yeah. I think that's the problem is, well, and people think, I think with businesses and owners is they think if they train their employees so well that they'll move on, which, I mean, 80% of the time maybe. But if you train them to where they feel like they're valued at that company and that they're part of that family, they will give you 100 times more back, and they will be maybe ripe to be that next CEO, but you won't know unless you actually put in the resources and the investment.
I know you've seen this. This is out like maybe a couple years ago where the meme was like the CFO and the CEO, hey, you know, Tom Brown wants us to pay for this training, right, to make him better, whatever, right? And the CEO was like, what if you pay the training and leaves? And the CFO was like, what if you don't, he stays, you know?
Yes,
you know?
that one's a good saying too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What if you don't, he stays, you know?
Yeah, we got a crap employee. Come on.
Yeah. So I think it's on LinkedIn. I think you did a post. It says, to all transportation and district partners, anyone have contacts in the distribution of vape smoke products looking for a solid product in access the PNW region?
Yes.
What's that about?
So one of the business I was talking about earlier that we did a small acquisition on that we're minority partners in is a retail vape shop. They are located in Tukwila. They are Strange Cloud premium vapes. And we are looking for new distributors. Not because we don't have good ones right now, but it's something that's kind of just lacking. They're always late, and we're trying to really revamp the store.
I would argue if they're always late, they're not a good distributor.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
It's one of those things where I think it's like a one-man show distributor, and love one-man shows. Like, I don't know if it's a local or what, and if it's a him problem or where he's getting products from, but it's just not working. So I'm like, hey, community, who do you know? And I actually did do some research, and I found some other ones. So maybe we'll get some hits, or if anybody else knows other distributors, we're always open to recommendations. But that's a small acquisition that we had. So
how did you build relationships with all these banks and credit companies, capital companies, right? I'm assuming you buy a company, it's not personal money, right? So being such a young company, young people, how did you build relationships, whatever it is you're getting the funding from to acquire these companies?
Yeah, so let me think really quick, because it's been a long process as of even just last year, going through and actually finding who. So if it's a smaller deal, obviously there's SBA. We know how SBA works. Take some time, take some due diligence. But SBA is a very valid option for us to use for a smaller deal. But we are also looking at bigger deals. So trying to have those conversations and relationships with small family offices that have some money to deploy. Some of them actually, we have worked with some private equity capital where they do a mixture of, okay, it's not just equity money, it's more debt or asset financing. So in looking at businesses that actually have assets, right, aviation, manufacturing, when they own their property.
Because that's collateral, right?
Exactly. We can look at debt and asset financing. So it's really just trying to find good partners. What do they offer? What sectors do they finance in? Because not all of them do just one sector. Sometimes they do just do one, but sometimes they have multiple, or, we're not deploying in that sector right now. So you kind of have to continue to have these conversations and build a relationship with, hey, what are you seeing? What are your interest rates looking like? And then as we have deals come up, we have those conversations. We send them our little teaser that says this is the business we're looking at. And if they're intrigued and interested, then we have further conversations on trying to build what that cap stack looks like.
And no set the name, but you have a go-to bank or something you go to?
Kind of depends. We did just have a really good connection on the SBA side of things. Jimmy over at Key Bank here in the Pacific Northwest, he runs the division. I think it's Washington, Idaho, Oregon, maybe Montana too. But he runs this division, and their SBA is not only SBA funding for purchasing a business, but they also do if we needed to come back and get more capital for continued operations. They also have SBIC is what it's called. And so Jimmy's been a contact for that. We actually just met him a few months ago, and he's been amazing.
How does that credit scores play a role in this?
Yes. SBA will definitely check. I think a lot of financial institutions will check. But outside of that, I mean, it's good to have a good score.
So how bad can a credit score be? Like as low as 600, 500, you need a 701?
I would say it's good to stay over 6 or 650. Okay. And I think that comes from other stuff that you're doing, whether it's owning a house, having a car, some payment that keeps you getting a good score. And I think that on certain applications with financial institutions, they'll actually go through and request, hey, once we get to a certain point, this is when we'll pull it. And then for the financial institutions, they'll want to deep dive into more of like your personal financial statement. And depending on if it's just you as like the supposed guarantor or if it's you and partners, personal financial statements are usually pretty, it's a common thing to ask for. So it's like your personal balance sheet, your assets, your liabilities, cash in the bank.
How does, suppose someone's bankrupt, how does that play a role? Are they pretty much like done? They got to wait until the bankruptcy stuff is over with, or?
I don't know.
Like someone's trying to apply for a business loan, but they filed bankruptcy like maybe 2 years ago, right?
Oh, the bankruptcy piece. Oh yeah. I don't know if there's a time limit on it. I think it's usually 5 years. But if you do bring it up at the beginning, at least they know you're honest. So that is one thing where it's like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then one of our first things is like, if we know we have anything, like with Spencer, it's like, hey, are you guys running background checks? I want to let you know ahead of time. Like he lets them know ahead of time, and that way it's not like, oh, why didn't they tell us this? It's like, no, here's what the situation is. So I would do the same thing if someone had a bankruptcy. Definitely be ahead of it in terms of like, hey, this is what's going on, or this is what happened. Is that going to deter me? You know, should I even bother? And just kind of get ahead of it.
So a lot of people will say, my business is my baby. When you hear that, what's your reaction?
Yes, immediately. It's true. And part of it, I think, is like, it's so hard to step back away from what you potentially make as your identity, because I think people associate their business with who they are, right? Oh, I built this trucking company to $10 million. That's who I am. But if you were to go meet somebody new, you're on vacation, you say, hey, what do you do? Oh, if you don't have the trucking company anymore, it's like, oh, I don't do anything. What do you mean? Well, I sold my company. Okay, that's awesome. But now they're at this like almost like personality distress of like, oh shoot, like I don't know what I am anymore. I was with my business forever. So I agree with the statement. I think it's hard for people to step back from it. I think even like being newer or being established, it's hard for people to separate the two.
So what's like, how I put this, what's your personal goal for yourself?
That's a great question. I actually, well, to go to your question earlier, how old am I? My goal has been to...
For the record, I didn't ask that question.
No, you didn't ask it, but my goal's going to give it away, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. My goal has been to, and it's kind of evolved over the years, but it actually stems from one of Spencer's goals, and it was like to be a millionaire, right? And so I think if I start to build out steps to be a millionaire, be a 5 millionaire, be a 10 millionaire, whatever it is, my goal was next year for my birthday, 30th birthday, to be a millionaire. And technically on the balance sheet I am, but it's not cash in the bank. So that's my goal of.
And how far are you from getting that goal?
I don't know if I've done a recent look. I think it depends. Oh, well, cash in the bank, I'm not close. If you consider assets, actually pretty close. Just because we own our house and we have an Airbnb and other, business, right?
Nice.
I'm telling you,
a lot of revenue streams.
Yes, there's a lot of different options to be doing. If I'm not working in one, I'm working in a different one.
When you hear someone says like, I'm struggling, there's nowhere to make money, what do you think? Like do you like work harder? Like there's ways to make money? What are you doing with your life?
I think two things. It could be one, I think this is such a hard question. There's so many thoughts that come to my mind. I think that if people have the skills to do something, there's a way to make money. And if you don't have the skills, kind of like what we were talking about with AI, there's a way to get them. So, right, you don't have to go to the library to just rent a book anymore. You can ask ChatGPT or Gemini or anything, hey, give me a summary, give me a sales, give me a whatever breakdown that I can implement today. So it's a 1 and 2 thought process in a sense of like, do you have the skills? Do you have skills, or do you just not want to utilize them, right? Like, I can go work as a barista, but do I want to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I could go do it every morning for the next 2 weeks and make money.
You can sell plasma every day.
Like, exactly. Like,
but do you want to do that, you know?
But do you want to? Do you have the time to? Are you in need of it? And so I think it's just things of like people either being lazy, not understanding, not knowing what they want. Because I think part of the issue with us humans is like, if you don't know what you want, you need someone to tell you what to do, right? Okay, well, I can't tell you what to do. You're an adult now, right? It's like when you got kicked out of the house at 18. What do I do? Whatever you want, go figure it out.
So what's the why behind your company?
The why behind our company is really to give back to society, shareholders, community, and ourselves at the same time. Uplifting people, and I think it's part of my personality is to contribute. My personality is to like give. I think Spencer's is too. Like, we love to give people opportunities. But I also think that we're working on making sure that there's a way to do that where everyone is winning, right? We want the business to succeed. We want people to succeed with us. Do you know what an ESOP is? Yeah. That is one of our missions is to take one of our businesses and turn it into an ESOP. We think employees...
So for people who don't know that, what it is, can you explain it?
Yeah, so it's an employee-owned business. ESOP with the acronym, I don't know it off the top of my head, but think of like of even just BECU, local, right? Like, they're technically an ESOP. Their employees own the company. And I think if we can exit that way with how people heavy some of the businesses are, that would be a perfect way to exit, because they get to win with us. You become part of the business with equity and seeing that upside that they do every day.
So what problem are you solving?
With Prospera?
Yeah.
We are solving owners to have a place for their business, their baby, to go.
And you think you're doing a good job of that right now?
I think we're about to do better.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's such a great fucking answer.
Yeah, I think we're going to do better.
And next, so like, I made the networking event, right? And you talk about like, you were paying the vape shop, right? So that's not cutting checks. Like, you're like getting your hands dirty, right? Talk about the points like, cutting checks and actually taking an active role in the business. Like doing whatever it takes, even painting the walls, whatever.
Within that business or in general?
In general.
In general? So I think, in that one in particular, we did get our hands dirty. I did paint the entire shop. If you go down to Strange Clouds and you see the new colors on the wall, I did paint that whole shop. It needed a rebrand, and I was happy to do it. It took me quite a few days, but I was so impressed with how it turned out. And I think that's part of the job sometimes. It's like, don't ask people to do work for you if you're not willing to do it. Just hands down. If you can't take out the garbage and I'm willing to take out the garbage, then this isn't a good fit.
No.
You know what I mean? And so I think, but it takes you doing it. So I always want to be an example, and I always want to admit to my mistakes, because again, going back to the humanity part of it, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make quite a few, and I'm going to need to be told like, hey, how could I have done this better? And I want people around me that are going to tell me, hey, Bianca, I don't think you were your best. And I could be like, shit, that sucks. Any way that you think I could have been better? Do you have advice? And I think the same thing goes with business when it comes down to getting your hands dirty. Hey, something needed to be done. I didn't know how to do it. I tried. It didn't turn out properly. That's fine. Thanks for taking initiative. I appreciate it. Let's go see what happened, right? Like, let's see if it caused any issues and fix it. But the more quick you can do that, and the better you can do that with your team, the faster you can keep moving. If that error sat there, whatever the error was, for 2 weeks, and it ended up keeping you from getting like 20 more customers, 30 more customers, that was a bad mistake, but you didn't talk about it. You didn't bring it up and say, hey, I messed up.
How do you deal with owners that don't take criticism?
Ooh.
Or that are open to feedback? Like,
I don't personally like it. I think it becomes an ego problem. It becomes I'm better than everyone, so, you know, I don't make mistakes. You can't, you know, don't bring that up to me. I've also seen very passive, where it's like they would take the criticism and it was just like, oh, okay, thanks. And then it was just like never brought up again. And it was like, what was it good that I did it? Mm-hmm. Should I continue to bring them feedback? Was that just like wrong? And then, you know, you get in your head about like, shoot, like even if it was your superior, right? Shoot, now they think this, and this of me. And so I think it causes bad culture, and it causes it brings up that ego aspect of like, how do I deal with this situation? And now people are in their heads about how to approach the person or how to approach certain situations.
So this is my pet peeve of mine, right? When someone says, I don't want to do it, I've done it for 20 years. True, but how do I know you've done it the right way for 20 years, right?
Yeah. And I think we get stuck in our ways. At some point, I'm going to get stuck in a certain way of doing something. And I might not like that someone gives me feedback, but I think I have to constantly remind myself that I'm trying to be better every day. And so in order for me to do that, I have to accept feedback. I have to have some kind of loop that says, no, Bianca, there's a different way to do it. There's 20 different ways to do it. But I don't know that if I don't keep it at the forefront of my mind.
So what do you think is broken about the way how the way capital works in the United States?
Ooh, broken? The fact that we probably don't teach it in school. I think that's one of the biggest problems. I think the public school system, I went to public school, it's purposefully taken out, and maybe it's changed. I don't know. I'm obviously not in a public school now. I don't have kids to really reflect on. I have to lean on people and what flyers and letters say. But I think the problem is that we don't try and teach people how to use it. And that's from credit cards, that's from tax, that's from like just having a budget on a daily standpoint, right? Like it's almost like outside of school, like with families, right? Let's teach kids to have a fun budget, right? And then a homework budget. Like, did you get your homework done? Okay, but is it good homework? Is it homework that's teaching you versus just something keeping you busy for a time?
So I kind of asked this question already, but like, what are signs that a business owner is a good business owner and signs that business owners are a bad business owner?
I think a good business owner is always going to want to know what's going on in their business. And when I say that, I don't mean like necessarily micromanaging and wanting to fix what people are doing every day, but I think they want to understand how things are happening and if they can be better, if there are other things that he or she should be looking at from like a larger point of view. Because I think as an owner, especially if you're one that takes a step back and you're not the one all be all mode of information, like let's say you have a team and you have sales and everything, your goal is to continue to be that visionary, right? To find the next opportunity. But you don't know and you can't stay aligned with that if you're not also getting in the weeds sometime to be like, hey, customer service, are you guys running into issues, right? Like doing almost like an audit every now and again to see like maybe there's something better or something they should be on the lookout for while they're having, you know, certain business conversations. Maybe they're meeting with investors, maybe they're meeting with other partners, but they don't know if that's going to be a good fit if they don't know how the business is going from a lower level standpoint.
So you have unlimited capital, unlimited time, all the resources you need. What would you change about business funding?
Ooh, unlimited capital. That's a tough one. Shoot. Honestly, if there was a way to vet for anyone that's trying to do cryptic shit with businesses, to somehow weed them out would be really cool. So, and I don't know if that means like there's a platform, there's like some crazy application, but I think there are some people in this world who just want to do evil. And if there was a way to somehow funnel them from getting money and doing that cryptic shit, that's what I would work on.
How do y'all decide how much money to offer for a business?
Ooh, quite a few variables. So we do naturally look at numbers, profit loss, balance sheet, what they're taking home, what's actually profit. You know, sometimes these businesses are lifestyle, so maybe it's paying for their car, maybe it's paying for some extra medical. So if that's not something that's going to continue when we take over, we have to adjust for that fact. Also looking at the culture, right? How do people feel? What's employee turnover like? What's your training process? You know, trying to put a value to that, and potentially maybe how much work we have to put into that. What else? Financial, culture, even the owner. So where are they at? Are they looking to retire? Are they trying to move? Are they sick? Like, do they need a transaction to happen tomorrow? Timing is usually a really good indicator because it can determine certain financial funds that we can get. If we need to put more money up front, then there's a lower number we can do. If they're willing to have a payout over 5 years, 10 years because they're not in a rush and maybe they want tax benefits, then we can offer a higher value. There's a debt cover ratio that a lot of business owners look at. So what is your debt to profit look like? And do we have a comfortable debt cover ratio to be able to support any growth, any capex? What else? And honestly, we like visiting the place. We like to see what they've put together, because it is a lot of manufacturing and asset and everything, actually seeing it and seeing, like, if Spencer and I are going to go in on the day-to-day for 3 months, 6 months, like, what do we need to look for? What do we need to strategize for? Does this place look completely crappy and we need to find a new lease? You know what I mean? Like, there are just so many little aspects, and you take all these details and you have to find a value.
Has this ever happened where, like, someone's selling the business to you, and then the wife or the kid, someone comes and says, "No, you're not selling this business. It's my business."
Oh, their kids coming into it. I haven't
like this is my legacy. I'm gonna stop this.
Yeah, I haven't had that, but I have seen where, like, maybe the parent doesn't want to give it to the kid for some reason, whether it's they're not fit to run it, they would run it to the ground. Like, there's usually, like, some kind of personal connection. And usually there's I think it's like 5 Ds that keep people from wanting to touch these businesses. But it's like, if they're going through a divorce, you probably want to wait on purchasing it because it's very possible the spouse may want to run them for all their money, or I want half the company. There's deaths. If there was a death in the family recently, usually that will kind of keep them distracted. And so it's like, maybe wait till things have settled. There's 3 others. I haven't looked at that list in a while, but there are a few that are, like, very, not red flags, but you kind of just want to maybe give some space to them because it could go, it may be affected legal wise that would change the business at what it's currently at.
Talk about the negotiation process. Like, suppose, like, the owner says my company's worth $10 million, and you're like, dude, this is like what maybe it's $3 million, and we're stressing it, right? How do you, like, close that gap, so to speak, or is that gap just too far? How y'all do that?
Sometimes you can't come back from it. So a lot of business owners who can use and like to use Google will find a broker to work with. I have nothing against brokers, but brokers love to overvalue a business, or they like to, if they get an idea from the owner of what they want for the business and they know it's too much, they'll kind of just roll with it. And once they have this number in their head, it's very, very hard to come back from it, until they're at a point where they're just kind of distressed and like, okay, I just want to be done with it. I've been thinking for too long. It's taking too much headspace. So sometimes when there's a number involved and they're not at that number and they don't understand valuation, it can be very hard to come back from it. One of the most obvious, of course, numbers way to value, I should mention, because it is M&A, EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax,
To this day, that shit confuses the fuck out of me. I ain't gonna lie,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
It's like it's just confusing me to no end. Like I'm not a dumb guy, but I can't understand it for save my life.
I have a very simple sheet I could send you to understand it. It is easy once you see it, and once you see it multiple times, it's like, oh yeah. But people, a lot of M&A folks, it's EBITDA, not usually SDE, which is seller discretionary earnings that people value. So you take an EBITDA based on the economy and what the interest is for that business, you take a multiple. So right now, like HVAC and plumbing businesses are all the hype right now, right? So you take your EBITDA at 100, let's say they're at $1 million. They're doing good. $1 million, and being at $1 million, we're looking at maybe like 6, 7, 8 multiple, even if they have like great culture, great transfer like of value, like the owner doesn't work day to day, so you could easily transfer in. Like they could get a pretty good multiple for that. Now, is that something I want to look for because I want to pay for a high multiple? And do I have a team to help with the growth plans and acquisition and everything? Maybe not, because I don't have experience in HVAC and plumbing, but maybe if I get some partners, right? So it's really like, it could go high multiple now, but a few years ago it was probably like a 3 multiple, 4 multiple.
Here's one for you. So what's something that's not public knowledge, it's not on your resume, not on social media, no one knows about it, but you're really freaking proud of?
Ooh,
maybe Spencer knows about it, maybe your close friends, maybe your family, but like random people like don't know, like but they really like, man, like I did this thing on this.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that one's hard because I have built a little bit of brand recognition where I like to share my successes.
Maybe somebody you did in high school or back in college, or maybe it seemed like
something I'm really proud of. Well, honestly, and I mean, this isn't something I like to gloat about because it's not, to me, I think a lot of people in society are probably like, well, that's like anyone can do that. But for me, I think and whether or not I show how proud I am, I'm really, really proud that I actually went to college and finished. Like for me, that was a milestone. That it's not that it was very hard for me to do, but in my family there haven't been a lot of people that have gone to college. And like my mom and my grandma were both born in Mexico, so like coming to the US was like a really big deal, and they did it to give us that opportunity, my generation, my cousins, that opportunity. And I'm so proud that I took advantage of that opportunity and was able to, even like my cousins, like I have one cousin that's like, Bianca, like you have been someone that I look up to because you're always trying to push for the next thing. You're positive even when stuff is kind of shit, and like I look up to you. Now, did they go to college? Not specifically, but even just me taking that milestone and being able to say I did it, whether it was easy or hard for me, like I'm proud. I can say I had the opportunity to go to college to get my degree, and I'm proud that I can say that.
And your parents went from Mexico up here to the Seattle area?
Yeah, so they came from Mexico to California. I was born in San Bernardino, and then while I was still a baby, they came up to Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your parents ever tell you about the story of deciding to go from Mexico to California?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
To be honest, it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, that's kind of what I was stuck with. But I don't know the full story outside of like it was a whole new opportunity that they wanted us to take advantage of, because when you're poor in Mexico, like you're poor.
Yeah, that's one thing that kills me. Like I've been in the army, I've seen like destitute people. I've seen like people like sleeping on floors, no food. Yeah. Like of course there's like people like poor in America, right? Yeah. Homeless, but if you're like have a house, an apartment, even if there's like 25 people living in there, and you might be eating peanut jelly sandwiches,
you got something.
You're not people the rest of the world, 9% of the world like would fucking kill to be in that situation, right?
Yeah.
And we just don't realize what poor really is,
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that people like to believe they understand. No. Now I wasn't in like those dire situations, but I think I can understand enough to where one of the things that drive me and keep me is like I'm not going to take my generation backwards,
Yeah.
right? We got to this point.
Yeah.
Let's keep pushing it. And I guess that could be a thing I'm proud of too. Like, I'm proud that my mom, I don't know everything that she's gone through, but she had to deal with moving and starting a new place, and she had all of her kids, even my youngest brother.
So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have an older sister, one a year younger brother, and then one that's 11 years younger than me.
Okay.
And my mom had us when she was young, and I'm proud of her. We all fairly turned out well.
Yeah.
My sisters graduated.
No mass murderers and nothing like that.
I was going to say, my sister got her master's that we're going to her ceremony this summer.
Nice.
My 1-year-old brother, younger than me, he did spend some time in prison as well. He just got out. So I'm hoping I can be proud of him very soon. And I'm proud of my youngest brother for just keeping with it. I mean, he had to go through school during COVID, and that sounds like
those kids are so fucked. I think, right? I hope I'm wrong, but they have no social skills, or like they're like
I'm trying to.
They don't know how to deal with like they just don't know how to deal with life, you know.
They live in a completely different world. It's insane to think of.
It's almost like for that 2 years they were like transferred to a different planet and brought back.
Yeah, they're homebodies now. That's what they like to be. They like to be home. And what do you mean I have to work?
Yeah, what do you mean I gotta leave my room? Everything should come here to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I am proud about my dad, though. My stepdad, Victor, he lives down here in Auburn.
Okay.
He went through a terrible accident a decade ago, and they told him he wasn't going to be able to walk or do anything with his injury, and he's capable.
Cool.
He can walk and do all the things. Yeah.
So what do you think the future holds for yourself?
My future, as long as I keep pushing, honestly, I think my future is going to be good. I'm excited for the future because I feel like I'm finally at the point of like really figuring things out in terms of like where we're at, where we want to go, and what those next steps might be, right? Like having the interns this summer is like we're building out our team, right? We've got some extra hands to support. We've got other eyes to take a peek at what we're doing. And I think the more that you build out your team and can really start getting some of the lower level tasks that someone's still learning, the further we'll be able to take what we're doing.
And how do you find these interns?
These ones are actually, I posted, I think the university has a program called Handshake.
Yeah, no, Handshake, yeah.
Handshake, yeah.
It's at Seattle University?
This one was Seattle University, and then Seattle Pacific University. They were unpaid, so UW, I think, declined my request to post on there.
Yeah, they want you to be paid at UW, yeah.
Which I get, but I was like, I don't know if I can justify paying right now.
Yeah, and do I really want to pay $20 an hour to some random dude who I don't know is going to be like do anything?
Yeah, but I think I'm excited. We got 2 really cool ones. We're going to be introducing them on LinkedIn and our social platforms.
And what are they going to be doing for you?
So they're going to be working on like the first part of our process, which is let's reach out to the owners, so lead generation, have conversations, sign NDAs, and let's start working on financial modeling. So we're going to have them take it up till that point. And then because they're interns and we're a startup, they're open to take it as far as they want it. So if we get to a deal that is going to close, they can help us manage the pitch deck. Let's put together the cap stack. Let's get on the calls with the investors. Like, we're leaving it open to them to see like how much they want to learn from us.
I think back to kids or college kids or whoever in general, I think a lot of people make a mistake like, I want to get paid, right? Okay, you want to get paid, but would you rather have situation A where I pay you $20 an hour, and all you do is get coffee for me and do my laundry, like do bullshit? Or do you want to be like, not get paid and I open up a network for you, you actually do something, you actually, okay, you, like you said, do the whole process, right?
Yeah.
And so many people, I think they pick the $20.
Yeah. And I think I wasn't expecting, to be honest, having an unpaid one. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get any hits or if anyone's going to be interested. but I think I had a total of 10 applicants, and 2 were actually international. I did narrow it down to the 8 because I was like, it'll be good for them. They were all local.
Yeah.
So I kept it local, and I really just wanted them to get the most out of it. And it's part internship in terms of work, but also we're offering like some mentoring. One of the things we decided to do was going to be a book club this summer. So we picked a book, and we're going to read and have discussions on it probably weekly, and just kind of keep their minds going.
Yeah, like my experience like hiring a sales intern is like all the kids, like not kids, all the adults like want to get paid. During the interview, I was like, you know what? I probably won't hire you, right? But all the people don't want to get not paid. Like, yeah, you're superstars, right?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool. It was fun interviewing them because you get to see kind of where they're at in their journey too. Whether or not they had jobs, are they coachable, teachable,
drive, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think what was really great about these 2, because it's two of them now, and then one that's almost going to be coming on more in the fall. And our values all very much align together in terms of like being in a group that's transparent and open to learning and just kind of go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And so these are your first interns? For
Prospera, yeah.
Okay, all right. Maybe not get the details, but any deals you're about to close, or any like things you're working on that you gotta like.
Yeah, we're working on a big food manufacturing roll-up. So we have gone to visited one already about a week or 2 ago, and then we potentially will be visiting another one next week, and we may have some others in the fire as well now. So really, it's going to be an exciting, I think, rest of the summer.
And you mainly deal with Seattle companies, or have you expanded somewhere else yet?
We have been expanding, yeah. So actually, we were I say were because technically our due diligence phase is done right now. But we were looking at a company in Texas. One of the food ones is in Colorado. Another one is in Oregon. We just have multiple connections that we're trying to see how they span out.
And so you reach out to like a potential like an acquirer, right, whatever you want to call it, or is the approach like, hey, Tom Brown, your company's doing horrible. Let me pay you some. Your company's doing horrible. Let me pay you some money so you can save face. Or like, hey, Tom Brown, your company's doing so great. Let me, acquire it.
Honestly, because we want great companies, it's usually the great
Okay.
one. So it usually, depending on the outreach style, whether it's, I think a few of the ones we've been looking at have been broker deals. So we've been working with the broker who's already kind of put together the beginning part of the numbers for us and everything. But if it's the cold outreach, it's hey, we're some entrepreneurs that built a company up to 20 million. We built a team. We want to be a bit smarter and not do a startup, but have an established business like yourself that's built something and that's been around for a while, and we would love to talk about it and see if you're open to having a conversation and see if they respond. Sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's a letter, a lot of emails, but we know how email goes, right? We all get a bunch, it goes to spam. So, being creative about it. And actually, I'm really excited to bring the interns in on the process and be like, what else do you guys think we should do? Maybe you guys read our drafts, right? What do you think? Should we adjust? Should we, really start hitting the Facebook ads?
That's a great point. I think a lot of people bring interns and they don't do that right. Like it's a different perspective, right? Hey, intern, what's it about this? Yeah. It's just a different perspective. And most people are like, oh, you're an intern. Like, go make my coffee, some bullshit like that, right?
Yeah. No, we want the full description. What do you think? Should it be different? And I am using, outside of socials, right? If you're an owner who's 60 years old, you might not have TikTok. So like TikTok isn't a focus of ours, but you might have Facebook, right? You have family that's on Facebook. So how can we utilize the Facebook app that we have, and how can we target our ads that are grabbing enough for that owner that occasionally scrolls?
So Bianca, is there anything I should have asked you that I haven't asked you yet, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, this was fun.
Thank you. How can people reach out to you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, whether it's one thing or another, networking or messaging or trying to find a cool podcast like this to watch. So LinkedIn is probably the easiest and fastest.
Cool. And then for you guys, can you give us any advice or wisdom or anything you want to talk about?
Ooh, wisdom. My advice, honestly, is to just keep learning, keep asking questions, honestly. Because if you stop, as soon as you stop working that muscle or you take advantage of just the situations that you're in, you're not going to see growth. It's going to stop.
Why do you think so many people like stop learning at 18, right? Like, why is that, right? Like,
I think when
is
we're
it
younger,
laziness or like, what do you think it is?
It's an ego thing when we're younger.
Ego.
I think it's ego. It's, I'm an adult. I can do everything. I know everything. I have the power. And then you get into the real world and you realize you can't even pay your bills. You can't even find a place to rent. What do you mean? You don't have anything. And so I think it's an ego thing because we think we know, we think we understand. And until we're in certain situations, you realize like, wow, I did not know what I got myself into.
Yeah, that's so true, right? Yeah, I think learning, curiosity is such a big thing, right? Some people just stop doing it, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because as much as sometimes I hate, like Spencer asks why all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why'd you do that? Why this way? Why this way? And not in a bad way, but because he has that curiosity to understand. And it's like, I don't know. It was just the easiest thing that came to my mind.
You're like,
right?
because I'm smart, you're not Spencer.
Yeah, right. The ego came in, and it's just because that was the smartest thing to do. But it's like, it's one of those things where if you think through what you're doing, right, just like an ad campaign, if you think through why you're doing it a certain way or why you're using certain colors and fonts and emojis, if you think down to it, there should be a reason to do it.
Bianca, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And to listeners, thank you for your time as well. Remember to be great every day.